Supreme Conquering System. Chapter 1. Don't be afraid of the young man's time travel. You have a system direct access via mobile m.xianwanben.com. The word transmigration is frequently mentioned in the 21st century. However, it mostly appears in fantasies and has no connection to reality. At least, Qin never imagined such a fantastical event would befall him. Moreover, he transmigrated into the 9th prince of the unfalling dynasty. Born into royalty, inherently noble, with honor bestowed upon him. It must be said, this was a stroke of luck. A university graduate whose graduation meant unemployment, transmigrating into a prince of a dynasty. By all accounts, Qin profited, even if the identity of this 9th prince was utterly disliked. He could still live a life of wealth, luxury, and leisure. If he's disliked, then so be it. Qin didn't care much. Wouldn't it be better to be a carefree prince? However, while Qin desired leisure, others did not think so, constantly trying to scheme against him. Qin had only been in this world for less than a month. The highest imperial decree from the unfalling dynasty directly demoted Qin to Yuanjiang City. Subsequently, another imperial edict was issued, banishing Qin to the border. Unfalling imperial edict. I have heard that the demoted Prince Qin is not skilled in governance, and under his rule in Yuanjiang City, bandits have become a scourge, causing widespread resentment among the common people in his territory. I am greatly angered by this, and thus issue this edict, ordering my 9th son, Qin to proceed to the dynasty's border within half a month, to perform forced labor for 3 years, as a warning to others. This first prince is too impatient. I've only just arrived in Yuanjiang City, and he already wants to drive me away, blatantly abusing the imperial edict. Does he really think all the civil and military officials are blind? Inside a rustic yet elegant study, Qin, dressed in a white robe like a young master, was toying with an imperial edict, speaking with a half-smile. Upon closer inspection, Qin's eyes held deep resentment, anger, and a bone-chilling killing intent. Those in the imperial capital all say the 9th prince is unlearned and incompetent, but who knows that he was forced into it, without power or influence, and with no background from his mother's clan. If he didn't become a profligate prince, he could only be a dead prince. Qin sighed lightly, casually tossing the imperial edict onto the study desk, and lowered his gaze, feigning sleep. For a moment, the study fell into silence. A gentle breeze swept through the vermilion window, making its panes rustle. The evening wind grew colder, but even colder were human hearts. First Prince, oh, First Prince, can you really not tolerate me, this useless prince? After a long while, Qin finally opened his half-closed eyes, muttering softly, "Young master, how dare these people insult you so? When I return to the imperial capital, I will cut them down one by one." Suddenly, a firm and powerful voice resounded beside Qin. It turned out that a cold man, with a face like it was carved by knives and axes, stood beside Qin. Dressed in a long black robe with sleeves, he blended perfectly into the darkness, making him undetectable. If this person hadn't spoken, an ordinary person would not have noticed him at all, as if he were the embodiment of the night. Qin looked up at this person, a faint smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. Though Qin had no power or influence, he had a system, and he had powerful subordinates summoned by the system for him. Countless powerful subordinates from the fantasy worlds of his previous life were Qin's confidants. They were his confidants to live a carefree and exciting life. This cold man was a powerful being summoned by the system. Byakuya Kachiki from the world of Bleach. Scattered sword light, like cherry blossoms filling the sky. This was Byakuya Kachiki, the former captain of the 6th Division of the Godai 13, and now Qin's greatest source of confidence. The former Byakuya Kachiki lived for the decaying aristocratic system. Now he lived for Qin. Chapter 2: What to do if my subordinates are not strong enough. Waiting online is urgent. Anyone who insults my young master is my enemy. I will do everything in my power to clear the path for him. Byakuya's voice was firm and filled with murderous intent. Hearing it, Chin-E was quite pleased. This was his subordinate, a loyal attendant. He never had to worry about betraying him. Byakuya, I will definitely kill the first prince, but not now. However, Chin-E shook his head, rejecting Byakuya's suggestion. Our current opponent is not the first prince, but the Black Wind Bandits. The Black Wind Bandits are the largest group of bandits around Yuanjiang City. They are also the main culprits disturbing the peace of Yuanjiang City. I didn't expect the first prince to blame this on me. Chin-E knew Byakuya was speaking out of concern for him, but their main opponent right now was not the first prince. These bandits are truly detestable. They never dare to confront us head-on. Instead, they always take advantage of our absence to wreak havoc on the villages surrounding Yuanjiang City. If I could only find their stronghold, I would have wiped them out long ago. Hearing this, Byakuya said with a resentful tone, clearly still angry about the Black Wind Bandits. Bandits, they are best at guerrilla warfare. Moreover, the Black Wind Bandits are experts among them, so they naturally won't confront us head-on. However, now is a good opportunity to lure them out and wipe them out in one fell swoop. Chin-E's gaze swept over the imperial decree, and a faint smile appeared on his face. Young master is brilliant, Byakuya complimented. Byakuya, you have just arrived in this world. Your top priority should be to regain your strength. You are the main force for wiping out the Black Wind Bandits. Changing the subject, Chin-E then spoke of Byakuya's injuries. Thank you for your concern, young master. I have largely adapted to this body, and in 3 more days, I will be fully adapted, Byakuya replied. Good. Chin-E was immediately overjoyed. He was well aware of Byakuya's strength. Byakuya in his peak state was terrifyingly powerful. However, because Byakuya's physical body was reshaped upon arriving in this world, his strength was in a slump. During this time, he had been biding his time, unwilling to stir up trouble, waiting only for Byakuya to fully recover his strength. Now, hearing that Byakuya would fully recover his strength in 3 days, how could Chin-E not be happy? However, after arriving in this world, I can no longer hear the voice of Senbonzakura. Even calling its true name does not allow it to achieve Shirkai. Byakuya shook his head and said, Cannot achieve Shirkai? Not even Shirkai. Chin-E frowned and questioned Byakuya. Yes, and my spiritual pressure has also been suppressed to the level of a seated officer. Byakuya nodded slightly and replied, No wonder the system displays it this way. Chin-E muttered with a deep frown. Young master, what displays it this way? Chin-E's words reached Byakuya's ears, but he couldn't understand them. Nothing. You should go now and rest well. I will find a way to solve your problem. Chin-E chuckled, changing the subject. Yes, young master. Seeing that Chin-E wasn't speaking, Byakuya didn't press him. Immediately, Byakuya bowed respectfully, and the next moment, he had vanished from the spot, like a ghost. Chin-E, however, was used to it. He frowned and softly called out in his mind, System, display the operating interface. Ding! With a soft sound, a square, transparent light screen appeared before Chin-E. This was the system setting based on Chin-E's habits, and it was the operating method Chin-E most preferred. Moreover, this system light screen was invisible to others. Only he could see it. Chapter 3. Don't be afraid of killing, you deserve it. Mobile phone direct access. m.xinwanben.com. On that day, when the system's light screen first appeared, he thought he was hallucinating. It wasn't until Byakuya appeared that he believed it all. After Chin-E summoned the system's operation interface, he skillfully looked at it. Host, Chin-E. Cultivation, Post-Celestial 5th Layer. Experience, 0 out of 100. Martial Arts, 1. Azure Spirit Art, Human Grade High Tier, 2. Soaring Sword Art, Human Grade Mid-Tier Sword Art. Secret Arts, none. Divine Abilities, none. Treasures, none. Slaughter Points, none. Missions, 1. Slay the eldest prince of the unfalling dynasty. Difficult mission. Description. As fellow royalty, the eldest prince of the unfalling dynasty, has repeatedly framed the host. The host should slay this villain to assert his prestige. Reward: King's Dragon Sword. 2. Annihilate the Black Wind Bandits. Easy mission. Description: the Black Wind Bandits have long disturbed the peace of the host's territory. The host should annihilate these heinous villains to bring peace to his people. Reward: 1 summoning opportunity. Supreme Conquest System. This was the name of the system Qin Yi possessed. As the name suggested, the system's purpose was to assist Qin Yi in conquering enemies, conquering everything, and conquering all the myriad worlds. The greatest function of the Supreme Conquest System was to summon various characters to aid him in conquering everything. These characters could come from anime Qin Yi had watched in his previous life, or even from books he had read in his previous life. Qin Yi had already witnessed the marvels of the Supreme Conquest System. Byakuya was summoned through it. Character: Kuchiki Byakuya. Identity: Captain of the 6th Division of the Godai 13 in the Soul Society. Realm: Captain level, weakened state. Weapon: Senbon dormant state. Skills: Asachi, Shuanpa, Kido. Talent: AA. Qin Yi's eyes scanned Byakuya's attribute interface, solidifying his current state. Weakened state, unable to perform Shirkai. Is this what the system meant by heavenly Tao suppression? Qin Yi pondered the system's previous words. When summoning Byakuya, the system had said that because Byakuya's original world and this world's cultivation paths were incompatible, heavenly Tao suppression occurred. However, due to the system's ability, this suppression was eliminated, but it also greatly reduced Byakuya's strength, requiring him to recultivate. Qin Yi didn't care much about this. With Byakuya's talent, coupled with his past cultivation to captain level, recovering to captain level would be much simpler. What he cared more about was the state of Senbon Zakura. Senbon Zakura was Byakuya's Zanpakuto, and much of his strength relied on it. Whether he could use Senbon Zakura's power made a world of difference to Byakuya's strength. If Byakuya could use Senbon Zakura, splitting peaks and severing rivers would be effortless. However, Byakuya without Senbon Zakura, while still powerful, lacked that terrifying power to overturn rivers and seas. System: how can I help Byakuya recover his full strength? Qin Yi asked in his mind. Host: there are many methods. Firstly, slaughter points can not only increase the host's cultivation realm, martial arts realm, secret art realm, and so on. Similarly, they can also help Byakuya recover his strength. The system's mechanical, cold voice echoed in Qin Yi's mind. Slaughter points, you keep talking about slaughter points. How can I obtain these slaughter points? Qin Yi raised an eyebrow and asked. Naturally, through slaughter. The host only needs to kill elite life forms to obtain slaughter points, the system replied. Upon hearing this, Qin Yi pondered quietly. From the system's words, it could be inferred that these slaughter points had a significant use. Chapter 4. Enchanting Concubine is nice. Direct access via mobile phone. m.xanwanben.com. Killing points. Whether it's the increase in his strength or Byakuya's strength recovery, it all depends on these killing points. How does the system determine whether the life I kill is an elite life? Qin Yi pressed. Please explore it yourself, host. After saying that, the system no longer paid attention to Qin Yi. Qin Yi smiled wryly, not knowing why, whenever it came to the judgment of elite life, the system never explained it to him. Qin Yi was not resistant to killing, especially towards his enemies. He would not be soft-hearted. But when he came to this world, it wasn't that he hadn't killed before. Relying on his own strength, he had massacred a team of bandits. That team of bandits had a full 10 people, yet they didn't provide him with a single killing point. One should know that among them was a bandit whose cultivation was at the same realm as him, yet he also didn't provide Qin Yi with half a killing point. Could it be that only those innate martial artists, powerhouses whose life essence has changed, can be considered elite life? Qin Yi's expression was a bit grim. With his strength, challenging an innate martial artist was akin to seeking death. Unless he let Byakuya act, it would be possible to defeat or kill an innate martial artist. With Byakuya's strength, even without the aid of a Zanpakuto, his strength should not be weaker than an innate martial artist. Chin-Yi's eyes lit up, and he quickly asked, "System, if Byakuya kills an elite life, can I obtain killing points?" "No. The system's cold." Mechanical voice extinguished the joy in Chin-Yi's heart. "Alas, I knew it wouldn't be that simple." Chin-Yi was slightly disappointed, sighing softly. If killing points could be obtained so easily, they would not seem so precious and valuable in the system. Many functions in the system mostly require these killing points to activate. "Husband, the night is deep. Why are you not resting yet?" Just as Chin-Yi was still thinking, an extremely gentle and pleasant female voice sounded from outside the door, calling out to him. This voice was extremely captivating, soft and tender, causing even Chin-Yi's heart to flutter. "Husband, may I come in?" Outside the study, the soft, sweet voice was still calling out softly. "Come in." Chin-Yi heard the voice, his expression unchanged, but his eyes flickered with uncertain light. Creak! The study door was pushed open, and a graceful figure walked into the study. Chin-Yi slightly raised his eyelids, gazing at the person who had come, a young maiden, dressed in a snow-white long dress. Her body was perfectly wrapped, with curves in all the right places, her enchanting figure displayed to the fullest. Looking up, her exquisite face, large eyes with flowing charm, a perky nose, and slightly parted cherry lips were even more captivating. Anyone who saw her would exclaim, "What a peerless beauty!" However, Chin-Yi's expression was calm, looking at the person who had come without joy or sorrow, not saying a word. "Husband." As soon as the young maiden entered the study, she let out a sweet cry and, bringing a gust of fragrance, quickly walked towards Chin-Yi. "Don't come any closer." Chin-Yi spoke, stopping the young maiden's movement. "What's wrong, husband? Are you disliking me?" The young maiden stared at Chin-Yi with innocent large eyes, and tears seemed to already be glistening in them. Seeing this, Chin-Yi quickly smiled apologetically. "How could I dare to dislike you? It's just that your husband has recently caught a slight cold, and I'm afraid of infecting you." "How did husband catch a cold?" "Let E diagnose husband." The young maiden immediately cried out in surprise, making a move as if to step forward and diagnose Chin-Yi. "Stop!" Chin-Yi, however, let out a deep shout, reprimanding the young maiden. Chapter 5 Enchanting Concubine. All fakes are fake. Mobile access. m.xianwanben.com. "Husband." The young woman blinked her large, watery eyes and looked at Chin-Yi with confusion. "Speak. Who are you? And why are you impersonating E?" Chin-Yi's gaze was deep, his dark eyes looking at the young woman without a hint of emotion. "Husband, what are you saying? I am your concubine Louis. Don't you recognize me?" A layer of mist immediately clouded the young woman's large eyes. She looked on the verge of tears, a sight that was truly heart-wrenching. However, Chin-Yi remained completely unmoved, the light in his eyes growing colder. Although the appearance of the person before him was the same as his concubine Louis, indistinguishable even. But she was not Louis. E doesn't know any medical skills. The rumor circulating in Yuanjiang City that E is skilled in medicine is merely a reputation she gained through Schwer's help in her leisure time, Chin-Yi said indifferently. The moment this person entered, he sensed something was off. He then spoke to test her and became even more certain that this person was not Louis. "So that's it. It's because of this reason that my identity was seen through." This person, whose identity had been seen through by Chin-Yi, showed no sign of tension. Instead, she looked at Chin-Yi with interest. The world says that the 9th prince of the unfalling royal family is a profligate and unlearned idler, tarnishing the reputation of the unfalling royal family. However, just this insight and courage, in my opinion, are far stronger than that overconfident great prince. This person also greatly admired Chin-Yi, looking at him and praising him. "Then I must thank 100 Flowers gentlemen for the compliment." Chin-Yi's gaze was calm as he looked directly at this person. "Oh, I didn't expect the 9th prince to know my identity." This person, who was 100 Flowers gentleman, raised an eyebrow, greatly surprised. Ever-changing. Who doesn't know the name of 100 Flowers gentleman? Who hasn't heard of it? Within the Unfalling dynasty, it has long been widely rumored that 100 Flowers gentleman is particularly skilled at disguising himself as a woman, even surpassing women in appearance. Qin Yi said in a calm tone. Thank you for the compliment. Ninth Prince. 100 Flowers gentleman replied with a light smile, seemingly not hearing the mockery in Qin Yi's words. I didn't expect that to deal with an incompetent like me. The great prince would even invite 100 Flowers gentleman. Qin Yi's tone remained unhurried, but the anger in his eyes was almost erupting. Great prince, great prince. He had already been demoted to the border to serve in the military through the Unfalling dynasty's imperial decree, yet now he was sending people to intercept and kill him. Didn't he fear that people would see through his scheme and report it to the Unfalling king? A cold light flickered in Qin Yi's eyes, his fists clenched tightly, veins bulging on his wrists and arms. It's out of caution, but the great prince's caution isn't without reason. It's truly unexpected that the ninth prince even has a subordinate who has stepped into the innate realm beside him. 100 Flowers gentleman looked at Qin Yi with curiosity, sizing him up from head to toe. Before entering this study, he had encountered Byakuya, who had just left the study, and naturally sensed Byakuya's strength. The ninth prince, who had always presented himself as a profligate and had no background, had an innate realm martial artist hidden beside him. This was completely unexpected. This also made 100 Flowers gentleman marvel at Qin Yi's scheming. To have strength yet hide it, either he was deeply scheming or he had grand ambitions. It had been less than a few months since Qin Yi left the royal capital, yet he already had an innate realm martial artist under him. If Qin Yi were given more time and gained the support of some aristocratic families or sects, he might truly be able to contend with the great prince and compete for the position of Unfalling king. Unfortunately, since the great prince had already asked him to act, he would not do anything to ruin his own reputation. Chapter 6. Oh my God. I'm going to die. You can visit directly on your mobile phone, m.xianwanben.com. Tomorrow in Yuanjiang City, the news will spread that the ninth prince, fearing the hardships of military service at the border, has hanged himself. As the 100 Flowers gentleman spoke, a chilling aura instantly permeated the entire study, as if the temperature had suddenly dropped several degrees. The first prince has quite the methods. Hearing the 100 Flowers gentleman's words, Qin Yi felt even more indignant. He finally understood the first prince's plan, why he would issue a decree demoting him to the border, and then send the 100 Flowers gentleman to assassinate him. This was not just to take his life, but also to ruin his reputation. In the Not Falling dynasty, martial arts were valued over academics, and countless martial artists existed, leading to countless tales of love and hate. Because of the large number of martial artists, there was an atmosphere throughout the Not Falling dynasty where reputation was valued more than life itself. If it were the original ninth prince, subjected to such humiliation by the first prince, he would naturally be in agony, wishing he were dead. Although Qin Yi was not the original ninth prince, he was equally furious at this moment. However, the next moment, Qin Yi's heart was filled with bitterness. At this moment, Byakuya was not by his side, and his cultivation was only at the 5th level of Hotian realm. How could he be a match for this 100 Flowers gentleman? It wasn't that he hadn't thought of escaping, but the 100 Flowers gentleman's aura had been firmly locked onto him, and he had no confidence in escaping at all. The 100 Flowers gentleman was a Xiantian realm martial artist who had been famous for many years, and was not weak even among Xiantian martial artists. Facing such a master, he had no chance whatsoever. Could it be that today is the day I, Qin Yi, will meet my end? I am unwilling. A transmigrator? Without power and strength in hand, what transmigrator is not just fleeting clouds? Possessing a system? What's the use of having a system? His own strength was too weak, and he couldn't wait for Byakuya to rescue him. If his strength were great, not even too great, just enough to block this 100 Flowers gentleman and wait for Byakuya to notice, he wouldn't have fallen into such a dangerous situation. Qin Yi's heart was filled with regret. If he hadn't been reborn too late with his intellect and the system's assistance, he wouldn't have ended up in this state. Unfortunately, there are no ifs in life. Qin Yi was demoted to Yuanjiang City just after being reborn. With the help of the system, he had painstakingly built up his forces for several months, and his influence had started to show some results. But who would have thought that this first prince wouldn't tolerate him at all? The killing blows came one after another, leaving him powerless to turn the tide. Damn it, if he had enough time, this first prince would have long been trampled under his feet. Things have come to this, regret is useless. Since that's the case, even if he dies, he will die standing. Qin Yi's blood had not cooled. It won't be that easy to take my life. Though I am weak, why should I fear a battle? Qin Yi took a deep breath, suppressed the regret in his heart, and his expression became calm again. He slowly stood up, standing tall and proud, and drew the sword leaning beside the study chair. Clang! The sword rang out, and the cold sword light reflected on Qin Yi's resolute and calm face, appearing chilling and awe-inspiring. Let's fight! Qin Yi let out a low roar, his sword pointing at the 100 Flowers gentleman. Good, 9th Prince. I admire you more and more. The 100 Flowers gentleman was startled for a moment, then burst into laughter. Then I shall send you on your way. Suddenly, the smile on the 100 Flowers gentleman's lips turned cold. He waved his right hand, and the spiritual energy between heaven and earth fluctuated, transforming into a sword chi that shot towards Qin Yi, controlling the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. This was the might of a Xiantian realm martial artist. Buzz! The sword chi flowed, and suddenly expanded to be a full 10 feet long. Before Qin Yi could even react, this sword chi had already arrived like a streak of light, cleaving through the void. Chapter 7 I'm going to die. It doesn't exist. Direct access via mobile phone, m.xinwanben.com. Is this the power of a Xiantian martial artist? As expected, it's not on the same level, but Qin Yi, am not that easy to kill. Qin Yi's face remained calm as he muttered. Eft. The sound of sword energy piercing through flesh and blood rang out, and along with Qin Yi's figure, he was sent flying backward. Boom! Qin Yi's body crashed heavily into a bookshelf, causing it to collapse, scattering the books on it, instantly burying Qin Yi. What a pity! Baihua Langjun stood with his hands behind his back, looking at Qin Yi, who was buried after falling to the ground, and sighed with a shake of his head. Then, just as Baihua Langjun was about to step forward to check the situation, a strange noise made him pause. Clatter! He saw the pile of books covering Qin Yi suddenly scatter. A hand stretched out from within. It was Qin Yi's hand. Baihua Langjun furrowed his brow, looking at Qin Yi's location with surprise and confusion. Cough, cough. Qin Yi stood up from the pile of books, covering his left arm, his face pale, spitting out fresh blood. Baihua Langjun's sure-kill move had only managed to cripple Qin Yi's left arm, failing to kill him. It turned out that Qin Yi, seeing the situation was unfavorable, had used all his strength to dodge at the last moment, narrowly escaping death. Interesting. Baihua Langjun's eyes flickered, and he became increasingly interested in this 9th prince. Baihua Langjun naturally knew the power of his move, yet he didn't expect it to be dodged by the 9th prince, whose cultivation was only at the 5th level of Hotian. But that was all there was to it. He had made his move, and he would definitely return with the head of this 9th prince. Baihua Langjun's eyes turned cold, and just as he was about to strike, he saw the 9th prince opposite him suddenly let out a sigh of relief, revealing a slight smile. What are you smiling at? Baihua Langjun said with some annoyance. His originally certain kill move failing to take down Qin Yi had already made Baihua Langjun quite displeased. Now, the smile on Qin Yi's lips made his anger erupt even more. Any appreciation he had for Qin Yi had long been thrown to the back of his mind. I want you dead, Baihua Langjun roared, about to strike and kill Qin Yi. However, he saw Qin Yi chuckle softly. You don't have a chance. What? Hearing this, Bai Hua Langjun was stunned, not understanding Qin Yi's meaning. Young master means you don't have a chance. At this moment, a cold and murderous voice reached Bai Hua Langjun's ear. Bai Hua Langjun was instantly startled, knowing something was wrong. An extremely sharp blade light flashed, cutting through the air, and attacked him from the right side. The speed of the blade light was so fast that people couldn't react in time. Fortunately, Bai Hua Langjun, as a veteran Xiantian martial artist, had rich combat experience and reacted extremely quickly, immediately sidestepping. The blade light almost grazed Bai Hua Langjun's face, and the tip of the blade even cut off Bai Hua Langjun's hair. Only then did Bai Hua Langjun see clearly that a cold man wearing a black robe and holding a strange long blade had appeared in front of him. It was precisely the Xiantian martial artist he had noticed earlier. Dare to harm the young master. You deserve 10,000 deaths. Byakuya held his zanpakudo with one hand, his eyes cold, staring at Bai Hua Langjun with overwhelming killing intent. Byakuya was filled with lingering fear in his heart. If he hadn't heard the commotion and rushed over, the young master's life would have been in danger. This person actually injured the young master and almost took the young master's life. This was simply an unforgivable crime. Then only his life could repay it. Chapter 8. The Powerful Byakuya and the Captured Zero Flower. Direct access to the mobile phone m.xnwanben.com. An extremely oppressive fluctuation emanated from Byakuya. His black robe billowed without wind, making a rustling sound. It wasn't like true qi, but it was more oppressive than true qi, and faintly revealed a hint of chilling intent. Is this spiritual pressure? Or perhaps a mutated form of spiritual pressure? Qin Yi looked at Byakuya in surprise and said with interest. Only after Byakuya arrived did Qin Yi completely relax. With Byakuya present, his life was no longer in danger. Although Byakuya was not at his peak, defeating or even killing this 100 Flowers gentleman was not a problem. This was Byakuya's strength. This person is unstoppable. Go! The 100 Flowers gentleman's pupils constricted, and this thought flashed through his mind. Whether it was the previous strike or the aura Byakuya was now displaying, both were far stronger than he had imagined. The 9th prince actually had such a powerful martial artist under him. What was the 1st prince's intelligence department doing? He wasn't finished with the 1st prince over this matter. The 100 Flowers gentleman thought bitterly, immediately stopped hesitating, and turned to leave. With a movement, the 100 Flowers gentleman had already flown towards the window. Want to leave? No way, Byakuya said coldly. Byakuya didn't make any other unnecessary movements, just slightly tapped his foot. The next moment, the figure that had been standing still gradually blurred, and he had already appeared behind the 100 Flowers gentleman. Shuenpa! Qin Yi's eyes lit up. This was one of the Soul Reaper's signature skills, which could greatly enhance their speed. Moreover, Byakuya was an expert in this skill. Byakuya, leave him alive. Suddenly, Qin Yi seemed to remember something and quickly said loudly. Byakuya, who was not far away, heard this and his figure paused, the force in his Senbonzakura weakening slightly. Ah! The sword shadows split, and Byakuya struck several times, each strike landing on the 100 Flowers gentleman's limbs. The 100 Flowers gentleman was originally protected by a true qi shield around his body, but when it encountered the spiritual pressure enveloping Senbonzakura, it melted away like spring snow at a touch. Chirp, 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 chirp. For consecutive sounds of the sword tip piercing flesh were heard as the 100 Flowers gentleman's tendons in his hands and feet were all severed by Byakuya. Immediately, Byakuya stepped forward and struck the 100 Flowers gentleman's chest. A surge of spiritual pressure entered the opponent's body, suppressing his true qi and preventing him from moving. After doing all this, Byakuya turned to Qin Yi and said apologetically, "Young master, Byakuya is late. It's a small matter, it's fine." Qin Yi, however, waved his hand indifferently, not intending to blame Byakuya. If Byakuya hadn't arrived, his life would have been gone long ago. More importantly, he was excited by the strength Byakuya had shown. He had already greatly overestimated Byakuya's strength, but he still underestimated him. With just one move, Byakuya had cleanly defeated the Hundred Flowers gentleman. Of course, part of the reason was that the Hundred Flowers gentleman was focused on escaping and was caught off guard. However, Byakuya's strength could not be ignored. He was far stronger than an ordinary Xiantian martial artist. Hiss! Qin-Yi moved a few steps, pulling at the wound on his left arm, which made him grimace in pain. However, he gritted his teeth and slowly walked in front of the Hundred Flowers gentleman. At this moment, the Hundred Flowers gentleman's face was full of despair, looking completely lost. He had originally thought this mission was a sure thing, but unexpected events kept happening again and again. He hadn't expected Qin-Yi to be able to avoid his fatal blow. Even more unexpectedly, Byakuya's strength was so great. One wrong step led to every step being wrong. Now he was trapped and had become Qin-Yi's prisoner. Chapter 9. The angry teenager beats as much as he can. Direct access via mobile phone. m.xinwanben.com. Ninth Prince. I underestimated you, and the first prince underestimated you. Seeing Qin-Yi approach, Hundred Flowers gentleman forced himself to gather his strength and said in a hoarse male voice. This was Hundred Flowers gentleman's true voice. By now, he was no longer able to pretend to be a woman. What? Where did that arrogant demeanor from before go? Qin-Yi sneered, his eyes as cold as ice, looking down at Hundred Flowers gentleman. The tables have turned. Just now, Hundred Flowers gentleman was incredibly arrogant in front of him, bestowing pity upon him. Now it was his turn to look down on Hundred Flowers gentleman. Bang! Qin-Yi even stepped on Hundred Flowers gentleman's chest. The weight of this step caused him to immediately spit out a mouthful of blood. Hundred Flowers gentleman's tendons in his hands and feet were severed by Byakuya, and the true energy in his body was suppressed, making him completely unable to resist Qin-Yi's actions. Ninth Prince. Your Highness, Ninth Prince. Please let me go. At this moment, Hundred Flowers gentleman finally panicked. He did not want to die here. He didn't want to die at the hands of Qin-Yi, this useless prince. He still had a great future. Therefore, he begged Qin-Yi for mercy. Oh? What, you also know fear? Qin-Yi chuckled, bent down slightly, and suddenly reached out and slapped Hundred Flowers gentleman hard across the face. Slap! The sound of the slap was crisp and loud. Hundred Flowers gentleman's left cheek instantly swelled up, blood oozed from the corner of his mouth, and a few teeth in his mouth were even slapped out, falling to the ground. You! Hundred Flowers gentleman's eyes almost spat fire, and resentment and humiliation surged into his heart. He was a Xiantian martial artist, yet he was slapped by the famous useless prince of the capital. What kind of humiliation was this? This slap is for E. She is my concubine, not someone you can impersonate. Qin-Yi's tone was chilling as he said with a sneer. A hint of anger flashed across Hundred Flowers gentleman's face. He opened his mouth about to speak. Slap! However, Qin-Yi's right hand moved, and he slapped Hundred Flowers gentleman on the left cheek again. In no time, Hundred Flowers gentleman's other cheek also quickly swelled up. This slap is for myself. I am the ninth prince of the undescended dynasty, born of noble blood. How can you insult me so casually? Slap! This is for the great books in my study that were damaged. These were all given to me by my imperial consort mother. How could you damage them? Wait, am I not even better than these broken books? Hearing this, Hundred Flowers gentleman's eyes widened, and he struggled to speak. He was a dignified Xiantian martial artist. Was he not even comparable to these broken books? Hundred Flowers gentleman felt extremely humiliated. In my eyes, you are not even comparable to a mouse on the ground, you disgusting sissy. Qin-Yi's hands didn't stop, slapping Hundred Flowers gentleman's face back and forth, making loud smacking sounds. Ah, you're the sissy. Hundred Flowers gentleman became enraged when he heard Qin-Yi's words and tried to struggle and resist. Oh, you still want to resist? Qin-Yi raised an eyebrow, and with another brutal slap, he hit Hundred Flowers gentleman's face, not holding back in the slightest. Crisp sounds of slapping echoed continuously in the study. Byakuya, who was standing by, was stunned. In his eyes, Chin-Yi had always been the image of a refined gentleman. Now he was acting so wildly. However, this appearance made Byakuya appreciate him even more. One should be so overbearing towards enemies. After a long while, Chin-Yi finally stopped, panting slightly, and the pent-up frustration in his heart was finally somewhat released. Chapter 10. Young Killer upgraded. Do you still like it? Direct access via mobile. m.xanwanben.com. In the study, Chin-Yi was panting, looking at the 100 Flowers gentleman on the ground again. His face was swollen like a ball. His breath was like a thread. His hair was disheveled, and he kept coughing up blood. Even though Chin-Yi was weak, he was still a 5th-level Hoteon martial artist. After being continuously slapped by him, the 100 Flowers gentleman was already seeing stars. Ha ha ha, it's only because of this person's strength that you can be so arrogant in front of me. With his strength alone, he can't possibly help you withstand the First Prince. The First Prince's power is not something you can resist. I'm just taking a step ahead on the path to the Yellow Springs. The 100 Flowers gentleman struggled to regain consciousness, staring at Chin-Yi with eyes spewing fire, roaring. The 100 Flowers gentleman didn't beg for mercy again. By now, he knew that Chin-Yi wouldn't let him go, and he had already prepared to die. It was just a pity that he wouldn't be able to see Chin-Yi's death. You're right, very soon. I will send the First Prince to keep you company on the path to the Yellow Springs. Before that, let your life be my stepping stone. After saying that, Chin-Yi held his treasured sword and stabbed it sharply. The sharp blade pierced through the 100 Flowers gentleman's chest, taking his life. You! The 100 Flowers gentleman's eyes widened, looking at Chin-Yi in shock, not expecting Chin-Yi to act so decisively. Crimson blood slowly seeped out from the sword wound on his chest, taking away the 100 Flowers gentleman's vitality. In a trance, his eyelids became heavier and heavier, and he saw a shocking scene before his eyes. Chin-Yi's aura suddenly surged. 5th level Hoteon, 6th level Hoteon, 7th level Hoteon. Is it an illusion? How unwilling! This thought flashed through the 100 Flowers gentleman's mind, and he finally lost consciousness. The treasured sword in his hand pierced through the 100 Flowers gentleman's chest, and a spray of hot blood splattered out. He killed someone, whether in his previous life or now. This was the first time Chin-Yi had killed someone. However, there was no panic in Chin-Yi's heart, but rather it became even calmer. Perhaps it was because of the inherent inclination towards violence within him, and even more so because this was an era of great struggle. Here, 10,000 dynasties clashed, and only powerful martial artists could shine brightly. Weakness would only lead to death and the disappearance of one's path. Only with powerful strength and influence could one live freely in this chaotic world. Therefore, Chin-Yi chose to fight. Fight with people. Fight with the land. Fight with the heavens. Fight until the sky is dark and the earth is dim. Fight for his own dawn and future. The 100 Flowers gentleman was his stepping stone into this era of great struggle. How could he disturb his state of mind? First Prince, it will be your turn soon. Chin-Yi's eyes were like torches, looking in the direction of the royal capital, and he said faintly. Just then, the system's prompt sound echoed in Chin-Yi's mind again. Ding! Congratulations to the host for slaying an elite life. The current elite life's cultivation is 3rd level Xiantian. 7 realms higher than the host, extracting experience points, extracting killing points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 500 experience points and 60 killing points. A hint of ecstasy flashed across Chin-Yi's face. At the same time, a pure energy surged from within him, flowing rapidly throughout his limbs and bones. Instantly, receiving the infusion of this pure energy, the faint strands of true energy within Chin-Yi's body surged violently. In just a moment, the original few dozen strands of true energy had surged to hundreds, even thousands of strands, like smoke and mist, filling Chin-Yi's entire dantian. And then, It charged towards the 7 meridians and 8 extraordinary channels that had not yet been opened. Chapter 11, Boy Upgrade. Direct access via mobile phone, m.xinwanben.com. Boom! 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 Several roaring sounds came from Qin Yi's body, deafening. The remaining 3 main meridians were opened in a blink of an eye, 6 of the 8 meridians were opened, and only the Ren and Du meridians were not opened. Outside world. Qin Yi's momentum also made rapid progress from the 5th level of the acquired realm to the 6th level, the 7th level, all the way to the 9th level, and then it stopped. That pure energy also faded away. Is this power? Is this what the system is capable of? Qin Yi suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze was bright and full of passion. In an instant, he broke through 4 levels of heaven. Qin Yi only needs to open up the Ren and Du meridians and build a bridge between heaven and earth to be promoted to an innate warrior. This is the true power of the system, the ability that allows him to quickly become an unrivaled powerhouse. As long as he kills all powerful enemies and conquers everything, he can get everything. I will hold the sword in my hand, cut through the thorns and clear away all obstacles in front of me, and reach the top of the world. At this moment, Qin Yi's mind became clear and he broke free from the shackles. Although Qin Yi is still very weak now and has not yet been promoted to an innate warrior, he only has one strong man, Bai Zai, under his command. But the system gave him hope and the opportunity to surpass all living beings. Since he chose to remain unyielding and to fight, he said he had no regrets. He already has advantages far beyond ordinary people, so what is there to hesitate about? We should live our life to the fullest, why be timid? What's more, the eldest prince is watching him closely and may give him a fatal blow at any time, so he can't take it lightly. Congratulations, young master, on your great advancement in martial arts. Feeling Qin Yi's surging momentum, Bai Zai lowered his noble head to show his submission. Ha ha ha! I'm afraid my strength is not enough in your eyes. Qin Yi came back to his senses and laughed. Byakuya's previous battle with Hyakukurakuin clearly revealed his strength. Defeating a warrior of the 3rd level of innateness with just one move meant that Byakuya's strength was probably above the 4th level of innateness. This is because even though Byakuya has been suppressed to the bottom in all aspects, he still possesses such strong strength. Qin Yi's heart was burning with excitement, and he was increasingly looking forward to Bai Zai's strength after he recovered to his peak. It just so happened that he had just gained kill points, which he could use to restore Byakuya's strength. System. How many kill points are needed to restore Byakuya to his peak strength? Ding! To restore Kachiki Byakuya's vice captain level of spiritual pressure, 50 kill points are required. Restoring Kuchiki Byakuya's captain level spiritual pressure requires 200 kill points. To awaken the sleeping Senbonzakura, 300 kill points are required. The system's words made Qin Yi smile bitterly. He thought that the 32 kill points he had earned were enough. Who knew it wasn't even enough to restore Byakuya's Ryatsu to vice-captain level, let alone restore Byakuya to peak form. Qin Yi had no choice but to give up this idea. Okay, let me see what good stuff this Baihua Langjun has. At this time, Qin Yi focused his attention on the dead Baihua Langjun. Mr. Baihua is a 3rd-level innate warrior, and he must have some valuable treasures on him. Master, let me do it. As soon as Qin Yi made a move, Bai Zai stopped him. All right, Qin Yi smiled. With Bai Zai present, he naturally didn't need to do such rough work. Hyakurakuin was already dead, and Byakuya easily tore off his disguise. The true face of this Baihua Langjun was also revealed in front of Qin Yi. He was a handsome young man with a slightly effeminate look. Chapter 12 Killing monsters and getting god-level equipment is impossible. Direct access via mobile phone, m.xinwanben.com. I didn't expect that Mr. Baihua is also a genius. Qin Yi exclaimed in surprise, feeling very surprised. Indeed, judging from Baihua Langjun's appearance, he is only in his 20s, but he has already reached the 3rd level of innate cultivation. It is not an exaggeration to call him a genius. But now, dust has returned to dust, and Mr. Baihua is dead. No matter how talented he was, he is nothing but a passing cloud. His only role was to strengthen Qin Yi's determination to follow the Tao. Then Baya was seen groping around Baihua Longjun's body for a while and took out an object that looked like a ring. Then, Bai Zai took the ring, walked to Qin Yi, and handed it to him respectfully. Is this a storage spirit ring? Qin Yi took the ring, took a quick look at it, and raised his eyebrows. The so-called storage spirit ring is made of precious Kongxian stone. It contains a huge space and is used by warriors to store items. Because of its high cost, this storage spirit ring is also very valuable and not everyone can own it. Even Qin Yi, the 9th prince of the Buluo dynasty, only has one storage spirit ring. Of course, this is also related to the fact that Qin Yi is not welcome in the royal family. I didn't expect that this Baihua Longjun actually possessed a storage spirit ring. When Qin Yi thought of Baihua Longjun's innate 3rd-level cultivation, he suddenly understood. The ring is dim and emits a bright light. The words low grade are engraved on its inside. Storage spirit rings are divided into 3 grades according to the size of the space inside, with the lower grade being the worst and the upper grade being the best. The storage spirit ring in Qin Yi's hand, which he got from Baihua Longjun, is a low-grade storage spirit ring. The way to start the storage spirit ring is very simple. Mobilize the true energy in the body and insert it into the storage spirit ring. The scene inside the ring is suddenly revealed in front of Qin Yi. Qin Yi glanced around and saw several things neatly arranged inside the spirit ring. A pile of gold, a pile of square white stones emitting spiritual energy, and 2 thread-bound books. Qin Yi directly skipped over the pile of gold. Even though Qin Yi was down and out now, he was born into a royal family and had no shortage of gold, silver, and treasures. Naturally, he looked down on this pile of gold. It was the pile of white stones that caught his attention. With a thought, one of the white stones appeared in Qin Yi's hand. Is this the spirit stone? Qin Yi played with the white stone in his hand, which was only the size of a thumb, and looked it up and down. The so-called spirit stones are things used by warriors to assist in their training, and their value is more expensive than gold. Spirit stones are also divided into 3 grades according to the amount of spiritual power they contain: low, medium, and high. The pile of spirit stones in the storage spirit ring are actually low-grade spirit stones. After looking at it carefully for a while, Qin Yi also lost interest. He has the help of the system, so why does he need to practice hard? This spirit stone is like chicken ribs in his hands. The spiritual energy contained in the spirit stone is not as fast as that directly infused by the system. Why should he neglect the main goal and pursue the spiritual energy in the spirit stone? Bai Zai, is this spirit stone useful in restoring your strength? As he spoke, Qin Yi threw the spirit stone in his hand to Bai Zai. If I had another 1,000 of these spirit stones, I would be able to regain my strength as a vice-captain. Bai Zai took the spirit stone, held it in his hand, and felt it carefully before saying this to Qin Yi. Okay, all these spirit stones are yours. A smile suddenly appeared on Qin Yi's face. It seemed that this spirit stone was not without effect. As long as Byakuya can recover his strength, these spirit stones will be put to good use. Qin Yi directly threw the storage spirit ring to Bai Zai. He already had a storage spirit ring on him, and this one was just right to be given to Bai Zai. As for the 2 books, Qin Yi took a look at them and lost interest. It's just a secret book that Baihua Longjun used to practice to change his appearance, and it's useless to him. It's better not to watch it. Chapter 13. Young man, your future is awesome. Direct access via mobile phone. m.xinwanben.com. Night. The cold wind blows. It's cold and lonely, but Qin Yi's heart was burning. At night, after a whole night of tossing and turning, Qin Yi asked Bai Zai to dispose of Baihua Longjun's body. Then, he hastily treated the wound on his left arm, returned to the bedroom, and went to bed early in his clothes. That night he had a dream. In the dream, he was domineering and looked down upon the heavens. With the assistance of the Supreme Conquest System, you can kill powerful enemies and turn them into killing points and killing experience. Defeat the immortal with a punch. Kill the gods. Blast the demon lord. Step by step, You reach the top of the world and become the most powerful person who dominates the world. In his dream, he obtained the throne of the unrivaled king. Around him, there are countless characters and people from anime that he is familiar with. With the help of these people, he crushed everything, maneuvered freely, and cleared all obstacles in front of him. Conquer all enemies who dare to resist him. What great prince, what martial arts holy land, what peerless dynasty. In front of his invincible army, they are all like ants, collapsing at the first touch. The Bu Luo dynasty became strong again and prosperous in his hands. With the help of his invincible army, the entire Tianyao continent was bathed in the glory of the undying dynasty. In the end, even the heavens and all the worlds will submit to him. All the supreme beings from all walks of life prostrated themselves at his feet and bowed to him. Countless phantom-like images flashed through Qin Yi's dream, as if it were real or illusory. Finally, the scene in the dream froze in a magnificent and majestic hall. This is a temple built above the sky, magnificent and golden, with fairy air lingering. White marble bridges, pavilions, towers, and orchid palaces stand around the main hall. Flocks of cranes and groups of unknown beasts fly freely in the sky. Qin Yi was wearing an imperial robe, sitting on the high dragon throne, looking down at all living beings, and below him stood his civil and military officials. There is Zhang Liang, the Han dynasty strategist with unparalleled wisdom and strategy. There is the peerless Kong Ming with extraordinary strategy. Lu Ji is a man of extraordinary talent, the king of Western Chu, who is as strong as a mountain and as powerful as the world. There is Zhao Yun in white robe and with his unrivaled spear. There is Han Xian, who is like a fairy who has descended to the earth. There is also the 12th Court Guard Division, all dressed in black robes, and Byakuya is among them. There is also a large group of talented people from the fantasy time. Whether Qin Yi is familiar or unfamiliar, these are all the help he needs to conquer the heavens and all worlds. Around these people, there were countless gods and immortals with astonishing momentum, who also lowered their proud heads, or even prostrated themselves on the ground, bowing to Qin Yi. This is Qin Yi's power. His eyes passed over the things inside the hall and focused on the outside of the hall. Qin Yi looked deeply and saw the scene under the sky. On the ground, countless powerful legions are gathering. The dragon's mighty roars to the sky, covering the entire universe. Countless real dragons roared proudly in the sky, and sometimes landed on the ground and transformed into human form. These are all troops from the Dragon Clan. Driven by Qin Yi, the evil spirit rises to the sky, wolves howl at the moon, and tigers roar in the mountains. Countless powerful demons with demonic aura all over their bodies looked up at the sky, with endless awe in their eyes, looking at the temple where Qin Yi was. These are the troops from the Demon Clan, clearing the way for Qin Yi. The evil spirit is curling, the devil is flapping its wings, and the monster is stepping into the sky. Countless demon soldiers, led by the demon leader, lined up in formation, waiting for Qin Yi's orders. This is the army from the Demon Clan, conquering the world for Qin Yi. The soldiers holding spears had solemn expressions, firm gazes, and were wearing armor, their faces filled with endless admiration. This is an army from the human race, expanding the territory for Qin Yi. Chapter 14. Come on, let's have a good chat. Direct access via mobile phone, m.xinwanben.com. Sitting high above the sky, watching the clouds roll by and unfold. This is Qin Yi's current state. Anyone in front of him would be inferior to him and bow down to him. Even the way of heaven is no exception. Countless goddesses and fairies sang and danced just to please him. All enemies that stand in his way will be crushed to pieces by his invincible army. I am invincible in all the heavens and worlds. The heaven and earth, the universe, are all my subjects. An indescribable feeling of excitement surged in my heart. Qin Yi stood up from the imperial throne and was about to speak to his thousands of people. Then I woke up from the dream. Early morning. Qin Yi was lying on the bed, looking very distressed. Anyone who has such an experience will be like Qin Yi. I was pretending to be cool in my dream, but halfway through, I woke up inexplicably. This feeling is like on your wedding night, when you walk into the room and excitedly lift the red veil. But you find out that you are just dreaming and you don't have a girlfriend in real life. The two feelings can be said to be the same. Qin is in this state now, feeling lost. Although it was just a dream, he had become addicted to that feeling. When drunk, lie on the lap of a beauty. When awake, hold power over the world. All the heavens and worlds submit to you. Immortals, gods, and demons are nothing but his subjects. And he can command all the worlds. Even the way of heaven is no exception. The tentacles of his forces have spread throughout the heavens and all realms. And there is no place that is not his territory. One word can determine the life and death of countless lives. One word can determine the rise and fall of the world. One thought can stir up the world. This powerful feeling made Qin obsessed, or anyone would be intoxicated by it. The scenes in the dream seemed to have really happened. The illusion and reality overlapped, and Qin heart was lost. The real dream gave Qin the feeling that he had experienced all these things. But Qin understood that this was just a dream. Perhaps this dream is related to the system. A gleam of light flashed in Qin eyes, and the strong sense of loss in his heart had long been suppressed by him. System. Tell me honestly, was last night's dream related to you? Ding, the host is right. This is the dream I created for you. It's really you. Can't you just let me show off? The corner of Qin mouth twitched, and he immediately lost his composure. He didn't expect the system to admit it so blindly. Qin went crazy when he thought of last night's dream. This damn system won't let him finish pretending in his dream. If the system wasn't attached to his soul, he would have wanted to pull it out and beat it up. Host, you are quite imaginative. The dream you had last night is not something you can get just because you want it. The cold mechanical sound of the system paused for a moment, and then it spoke helplessly. Is there anything special about last night's dream? The system's nonsensical words made Qin stunned and confused. Host, please check on your own. After saying this, the system's voice fell silent. No matter how Qin called, the system did not respond, leaving Qin with a confused look on his face, completely bewildered. Last night's dream? A dream? Qin muttered and thought. Chapter 15. Hey husband, you're up. Direct access via mobile phone, m.xinwanben.com. The system's words have already pointed out that the dream he had last night was not a simple dream. It wasn't a dream just for him to show off. It's not that the system is deliberately tricking Qin. There must be something that the system didn't explain and that he couldn't figure out. Does the system want to point out the direction for his future through this dream? No. He never had any doubts about the power of the system. With the help of the system, he will eventually achieve everything in his dream. There was no need for the system to go to great lengths to construct a dream specifically to explain it to him. So what is it that the system does not point out? Ding! The host won the first battle, and the reward has been sent. At this moment, the belated system prompt sounded. Reward? Dream? A bright light flashed across Qin mind. Last night's dream was a reward. Moreover, it is a reward of great value. He has already grasped some clues and just needs to verify them. If his idea is true, then the reward he will get this time will be huge. Qin eyes became more and more fiery. He put on his clothes immediately and couldn't wait to verify it. Just then, a familiar voice was heard outside the door. Husband, I heard that there were assassins attacking last night, so I came to visit. The soft and sticky voice was extremely provocative, exactly the same as the voice of Baihua Langjun last night. However, the owner of the voice was not as polite as Baihua Langjun and walked in directly by pushing the door. Hey, husband, you're up. The voice was bright, and the owner of the voice also showed up in front of the door. A picturesque beauty stood coquettishly in front of Qin door. This woman was wearing a light blue palace dress and looked exactly like the one that Baihua Langjun had dressed up in last night. This is Qin nominal concubine, Lu Yi. A peerless beauty with stunning beauty became Qin concubine. This incident caused a huge sensation in the entire Yuanjiang city at that time. Although Qin is a prince, He is of noble birth and born into a noble family. But everyone knows that Qin Yi was demoted to Yuanjiang City. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that Qin Yi was the prince who was eliminated early in the fight for the throne of the unrivaled king. The disgraced ninth prince is not worth betting on, even if he has royal blood. What's more, it was well known that the eldest prince disliked the ninth prince, which made everyone avoid Qin Yi even more. One is the eldest prince who is at the peak of his career and is expected to ascend to the top of the dynasty. One is the ninth prince who was disliked by the king and banished to the remote frontier. Anyone with a little vision will know how to choose. The old man of the Lu family happily approached Qin Yi and proposed a marriage alliance with him, marrying Lu Yi, the eldest daughter of the Lu family, to Qin Yi. Moreover, she was a concubine, not a wife. This made the leaders of many forces in Yuanjiang City unable to guess what the old man of the Lu family was thinking and why he wanted to get close to a dying person. Yes, in the eyes of everyone, with the methods of the eldest prince, Qin Yi would die tragically in Yuanjiang City within half a year. Even if the old man of the Lu family had any plans, it would all be in vain in the end. It was not until later that news came out that Qin Yi had inadvertently helped the old man of the Lu family, allowing him to retire and return home smoothly. The old man of the Lu family's action was just an act of repaying a favor. This made everyone suddenly realize and admire the old man of the Lu family for his shrewdness. The old man of the Lu family is indeed an old fox who once held the position of prime minister. He is very experienced in his work. Qin Yi is doomed to die, and Lu Yi will be free soon if she marries Qin Yi. This move can not only repay Qin Yi's favor, but also win a good reputation for the Lu family. However, it's a pity for the reputation of Lu Yi, the eldest daughter of the Lu family. This made many young talents in Yuanjiang City hate it so much that they gritted their teeth. Chapter 16: The Enchanting Concubine Really Exists. Direct access via mobile phone, m.xinwanben.com. Qin Yin's taking the eldest daughter of the Lu family as his concubine caused a huge uproar in Yuanjiang City. The eldest daughter of the Lu family is the most beautiful woman in Yuanjiang City. Her fame spreads far and wide, and she is the dream lover of countless people. Qin Yi is just a down-and-out prince with no power or influence. The combination of the two immediately made countless young talents in Yuanjiang City, who coveted the eldest daughter of the Lu family, hate Qin Yi. Even in Mijiang County, where Yuanjiang City is located, there are people in other cities who are concerned about Qin Yi. This makes people have to say that Qin Yi had a good death. Not only has he offended the eldest prince, but he is also offending the young talents of Mijiang County. Isn't this courting death? To be honest, Qin Yi didn't want to get involved in this mess. But the old man of the Lu family offered a price that he didn't want to refuse at all. So Lu Yi entered Qin Yi's house. I heard you were injured, so I asked Shuer to come and see you. Lu Yi pulled Song Shuer into the room. After closing the door, her attitude suddenly became cold. The bright smile on her lips has disappeared. Can't be said to be as cold as ice, but it is neither cold nor hot. Qin Yi said nothing, as he was no longer surprised by this kind of situation. In the final analysis, Lu Yi married him just to submit to the arrangement of the old man of the Lu family. She herself did not agree with this marriage and even resisted it. But Lu Yi couldn't refuse the request of the old man of the Lu family, so she finally agreed. However, since becoming Qin Yi's concubine, Lu Yi has behaved in a dignified and proper manner in front of outsiders, and has been very affectionate with Qin Yi. But when she was alone with Qin Yi, she would become much colder. Shuer, you're here. Qin Yi didn't care much about Lu Yi's attitude, but looked at the woman dressed as a maid next to Lu Yi with a smile. Uncle. Shuer bowed and spoke softly. As the lady's personal maid, she has probably interacted with Qin Yi more times than Lu Yi has. Because of their long-term contact, Shuer had no aversion to Qin Yi. Sometimes, she even thought that her son-in-law was actually a good person and not as bad as the rumors said. Shuer, don't bother you. I have almost treated the wound. Seeing Shuer busy putting down the medicine box on her body, Qin Yi couldn't help but speak. Son-in-law, you are a grown man, don't know any medical skills, and are careless. It's easy for you to fail to treat the wound properly. If the wound is not treated properly, it will cause a serious illness, which is not good. Unexpectedly, Schwer's face turned serious and she spoke seriously. All right. Qin smiled faintly, stretched out his left arm, and let Schwer handle it. Schwer immediately took out the tools and carefully treated Qin Yi's wound again. For a moment, the room fell into silence again. Schwer was treating Qin Yi's wound, while Lu Yi stood aside calmly, absent-minded. Qin Yi had nothing to do, so he simply calmed down and started studying the system. In this way, the only sound in the room was the sound of Schwer shuffling tools while she was treating the wound. Hiss! Suddenly, Qin Yi took a breath of cold air. It turned out that when Schwer was treating the wound, she accidentally touched Qin Yi's affected area. Qin Yi was not careful for a moment and cried out in pain. Ah, uncle, are you okay? Seeing Qin Yi cry out in pain, Schwer hurriedly said, and her hands started to move in a flustered manner. It's okay, Schwer. Don't worry. Qin Yi couldn't help but speak to comfort Schwer. The warm smile on Qin Yi's lips immediately calmed Schwer down. Just as Schwer wanted to continue treating Qin Yi's wound, a pair of lotus-white arms took the tools from her hands. Miss! Schwer was stunned and looked at Lu Yi in a daze. This is the first time in such a long time that the young lady actually cares about her own son-in-law. Don't think too much. I'm not concerned about you. Schwer is careless. I'm just worried that she won't be able to handle the wound properly. Lu Yi took the cloth and carefully bandaged Qin Yi's wound, while explaining something. Oh, I see. Qin Yi looked at Lu Yi, who was trying to hide her true intentions, and smiled indifferently. What are you laughing at? If you keep laughing, I'll tear your mouth apart. Qin Yi's teasing voice made Lu Yi's face flush, and she couldn't help but let out a cry. And you, damn Schwer, stop laughing. Immediately, Lu Yi turned her head and glared at Schwer, who was covering her mouth and laughing. No, I'm not laughing. The smile on Qin Yi's face suddenly froze, and he said this while suppressing his smile. If my uncle doesn't laugh, I won't laugh either. Schwer said seriously with a smile in her eyes. Humph, you dead girl. I'll deal with you when I get back. Lu Yi glared at Schwer again, as if saying, Chapter 17 The Youth System Won't Trick You. Direct access via mobile phone, m.xnwanben.com. In the room. Soon, silence returned, and Lu Yi was treating Qin Yi's wound. Qin Yi had a faint smile on his face, and he felt warm as he watched Lu Yi busying around. However, Qin Yi did not notice Lu Yi's eyes, which fell on him from time to time, complicated and confused. After 2 months of buffer, Lu Yi still found it hard to accept the fact that she had become Qin Yi's concubine. There was even a feeling that she was in a dream. Which girl doesn't have spring in her heart? Which girl doesn't have dreams? Looking forward to the future, my husband is so outstanding, upright and ambitious. In Lu Yi's mind, her future husband is not only a great hero who can conquer the mountains and rivers with his fists, but also a great hero. At the very least, he must be a warrior with extraordinary martial arts skills, or a writer with outstanding literary talent. Qin Yi had nothing to do with these two things. After months of observation, Lu Yi realized that Qin Yi was not as unlearned as the outside world rumored. But that was all. If you are not good at martial arts, you will not be good at literature. The only thing he could bring to the table was his identity as the ninth prince. Apart from that, Lu Yi did not see in Qin Yi the image of her future husband that she had imagined. Is it really necessary to wait for Qin Yi to be killed and then remarry as the outside world speculates? Lu Yi looked at Qin Yi with a complicated expression, her heart in turmoil. Reason told her that this was the best plan. However, Lu Yi is not the kind of heartless person. Marry a chicken, follow the chicken. Marry a dog, follow the dog. This is the way of a woman. She didn't become a wife to wait and see her husband killed. However, Qin Yi was far different from the image of his future husband that he had imagined. Lu Yi was unwilling to give in. Suddenly, Lu Yi caught a glimpse of Qin Yi's confident and flamboyant smile from the corner of her eye, and her heart trembled. Maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to give him a chance. Finally, Xuer bandaged Qin Yi's wound. Lu Yi took Xuer away, leaving behind only a fragrant breeze. From beginning to end, apart from the initial conversation, Qin Yi and the other person did not have much communication. Looking at the backs of Lu Yi and the other person, Qin Yi sighed softly. The world is bustling with people seeking profit, and the world is bustling with people seeking profit. Born in this cruel world, Lu Yi is undoubtedly the victim of the transaction of interests between him and the old man of the Lu family. To be honest, he admired this woman with a strong character. She looks charming but is very strong inside. Not every woman can silently bear all these sudden things. She got married suddenly, and to a famous good-for-nothing prince. Even with the advice of the old man of the Lu family, all this was not something an ordinary woman could bear. Well, I will promise you a life of glory in the future. Qin Yi stood up and looked deeply at the direction where Lu Yi left. Martial arts training ground. This is a spacious square that Qin Yi specially built in his mansion for practicing martial arts. A prince who does not fall from a dynasty, no matter how poor he is not comparable to ordinary people. The house under Qin Yi's feet is the best proof. What's more, Qin Yi is the nominal lord and supreme ruler of Yuanjiang City. A mansion in a prosperous area can occupy an area that is equivalent to 4 or 5 ordinary houses. Call! Qin Yi stood quietly in the square, took a deep breath, and held a fine steel sword in his hand. Close your eyes and calm your mind. Recalling the sword technique in my mind, the Chongshao sword technique. Chongshao sword technique is divided into 9 styles, and the most difficult to master are the last 3 styles, Flying Star Slash, Across the Sky Cut, and Red Cloud 1,000 Miles. Qin Yi has been practicing Chongshao sword technique for 4 years, but he has not yet mastered the last 3 moves. This shows how difficult these 3 moves are. Immediately, Qin Yi swung the fine steel sword in his hand, and the Chongshao sword technique came to his mind effortlessly. Qin Yi moved his body, and the fine steel sword in his hand looked chilling as he danced with it. Qin Yi has practiced Chongshao sword technique for thousands of times, and the 9 sword moves have long been memorized by heart. However, the feeling during this practice was very different from the previous ones. Chapter 18 Cool Rewards You Deserve. Direct access via mobile phone, m.xinwanben.com. This time, his understanding of Chongshao sword technique kept surging into his mind. Things that he didn't understand before, he now understands immediately. The so-called bottleneck seems to be non-existent in front of him. The fine steel sword in Qin Yi's hand danced continuously, slashing with flying stars, cutting across the sky, and sending red clouds across 1,000 miles. These 3 moves that Qin Yi had been unable to master before were now performed naturally in his dance. There was no sense of stagnation, and it was a natural process, as if he had already fully mastered these 3 moves. Over and over again, Qin Yi immersed himself in the world of swordsmanship, and his Chongshao swordsmanship became more and more proficient. Gradually, Qin Yi's sword moves became faster and faster, and his movements were like a dragon turning the rivers and seas upside down. The entire training ground was filled with sword beams that stung people's eyes. The sword light flashed, and the fine steel sword suddenly spit out its tongue like a silver snake, and pointed into the inside of a huge inky black stone standing on the right side of the martial arts training ground. Snap! With a slight tremor, the black boulder shattered in an instant where the fine steel sword had pierced it, with spider web-like cracks all over it. I did this! Qin Yi also came back to his senses at this time, his eyes wide open, looking at the fine steel sword in his hand that pierced the granite in disbelief. The granite in front of him was purchased by Qin Yi for the purpose of cultivation. Granite is a kind of extremely hard stone. If you want to smash it with 1 blow, you must be at least at the innate level. With 1 sword strike from Qin Yi, he actually broke through the defense of the granite. It can be seen that the power of his sword has reached the destructive power of the innate realm. System. Display the operation panel. Qin Yi couldn't wait to call out the system. Host. Qin Yi. Cultivation. Acquired 5th level. Experience 100 out of 200. Martial arts. 1. Qingling Gong. high-level character, entry-level. 2. Chongshao sword technique, intermediate sword technique for character, mastered. Secret, none. Magical powers, none. Treasure, none. Kill points, none. Mission 1. Kill the great prince of the Undying Dynasty. Difficult mission. Explanation. As a member of the same royal family, the eldest prince of the Bulu dynasty repeatedly framed the host. The host should kill this beast to restore his reputation. Reward, kingly dragon sword. 2. Destroy the Black Wind Bandits. Simple mission. Explanation. The Black Wind Bandits have long been disturbing the peace of the host's territory. The host should crush these vicious and evil people and restore peace to the people under his command. Reward, 1 summoning opportunity. Sure enough, my guess was right. Qin Yi's eyes were burning, and his gaze was filled with passion as he stared intently at the column for Chongshao sword technique. According to the system's classification, whether it is practicing swordsmanship or any other martial arts, the mastery of the skills is divided into 5 levels. From the very beginning to mastery to proficiency to perfection to mastery. Memorizing martial arts moves does not mean that you have truly mastered this martial art. Only when a martial artist can demonstrate the power of this martial art can he be considered to have mastered it. However, Qin Yi made great progress in 1 step, and his Chongshao sword skill went from the entry level to the advanced level. How horrifying this is! Even the most outstanding genius of the Undying Dynasty couldn't be so incredible. Just by practicing sword once, you can go from beginner to master. If this news were to get out, it would be enough to shake the entire Undying Dynasty. Sure enough, my guess was correct. Qin Yi murmured, a slight smile on his face. In just one morning, the realm of Chongshao sword technique broke through 2 realms. This was something Qin Yi had never dared to imagine before. Even if he was a peerless genius from a different dynasty, it would be impossible for him to break through as easily as eating and drinking water. Chapter 19. Combining work and rest is the best way. Direct access via mobile phone. m.xinwanben.com. It seems that the dream last night really improved his state of mind and made his understanding advance by leaps and bounds. After Qin Yi woke up, he guessed that the dream created by the system, the so-called reward, was related to the state of mind. Although I have escaped from the dream, the state of mind in the dream where I regard everything as an ant and control everything is still there. Because of the existence of this state of mind, Qin Yi's horizons have undoubtedly been greatly broadened. Correspondingly, Qin Yi's comprehension has also greatly improved. Qin Yi showed an irrepressible joy on his face. As for his cultivation, he had no worries at all because he had the system. You just need to try your best to kill strong enemies, and you can gain killing experience and improve your cultivation. What he lacked was the comprehension of martial arts. Although killing points were useful for improving martial arts realm, Qin Yi didn't want to spend too many killing points on it. Killing points are extremely valuable, and many functions of the system require killing points, including Byakuya's recovery of strength and awakening the sleeping Senbonzakura. All of these require killing points without exception. Therefore, Qin Yi wanted to accumulate killing points and did not want to spend them on himself for the time being. At this time, the improvement of his state of mind and understanding is like a timely rain, which is intended to make up for Qin Yi's shortcomings. Qin Yi was very sure that he would not need to spend killing points on martial arts for a long time. This way, precious kill points can be saved for another use. Next, Qin Yi practiced Chongshao sword technique several more times. This time, Qin Yi's understanding of Chongshao sword technique did not change much. At the later stages of martial arts, it becomes increasingly difficult to break through. Even if Qin Yi's comprehension increases rapidly, he will not be able to break through in a short period of time. Time passed quickly, and Qin Yi stopped practicing until the servants came to call him. After lunch, Qin Yi sat quietly in the study for a while. After calling Bai Zai, the 2 of them headed outside the mansion. Walking on the road, pedestrians saw the 2 of them and avoided them, looking at them in awe. One look at the 2 of them and you can tell they are not an ordinary family. He was dressed in a white robe, with sharp eyebrows and bright eyes. He was obviously a nobleman, and was followed by servants. When encountering a nobleman traveling, most commoners would choose to give way and would not dare to confront him. "Master, where are we going?" Bai Zai followed behind Qin Yi, wearing a black robe, exuding an aura of keeping strangers away. "Go to Zui Xianglu." Qin Yi didn't even look back and led Bai Zai along the familiar route. Zui Xianglu, the most popular restaurant in Yuanjiang City, is owned by the Lu family of Yuanjiang City. Zui Xianglu is most famous for the fine wine it sells, Zui Xiangyang. Many warriors who come to Yuanjiang City will choose to come to Zui Xianglu to taste the fine wine. Therefore, the business of Zui Xianglu has always been one of the pillar industries of the Lu family, and most of the expenses of the Lu family disciples come from it. Since arriving in Yuanjiang City, Qin Yi would come to Zui Xianglu every afternoon to sit for a while. Listen to the casual conversations of the warriors coming and going in Zui Xianglu and learn about some changes in the Buluo dynasty. Qin Yi's power is still very weak now, and he has no source of intelligence at all. If he wanted to obtain intelligence, he had no choice but to come to Zui Xianglu to investigate. Zui Xianglu. The place was bustling with people and countless warriors came and went. All of them came here because of its reputation. This place is a gathering place for all walks of life. Many warriors passing through Yuanjiang City will come to Zui Xianglu to taste Zui Xiang wine. This also means that every day there are warriors from all over the world here, talking and discussing. It also gave Qin Yi the opportunity to understand the changes in the situation of the entire Buluo dynasty. Chapter 20. Young man, you have a sister who is as beautiful as a city or a country. Direct access via mobile phone, m.xinwanben.com. In Zhuxianglu, warriors from all over the Buluo dynasty brought news from different counties. I found a seat at random and sat down, then asked the waiter for a pot of Zui Xiangyang. Qin Yi began to drink by himself, while Bai Zai stood behind him. Qin Yi's appearance did not interrupt the warriors' boasting. Although Qin Yi and the other two seemed to be of high status, it did not affect these warriors who traveled far and wide. "Have you heard about what happened in the capital?" At this time, the casual chat of a table of warriors caught Qin Yi's attention. The one who spoke was a thin warrior. "By the incident in the capital, you mean the eldest prince stripped Princess Qingcheng of her title in front of the civil and military ministers, forcing Princess Qingcheng to marry General Wang Chongshan's son, Wang Lei?" A warrior at the same table asked. Yes, that's right. It's this matter that's causing uproar throughout the capital," the thin warrior said, shaking his head. "How do you make the whole city go crazy?" Another fat warrior, who had obviously never heard of this incident, suddenly became interested and asked quickly, "This wine?" The thin warrior remained silent and pointed to the empty wine jug in front of him. "Ha ha ha. Small problem, waiter. Bring me another pot of drunken fragrance wine." The fat warrior twitched his mouth and cursed inwardly that the man was a stingy person. However, the words of the thin warrior really touched his heart, and the fat warrior had to shout loudly to the waiter. He knew that the thin warrior in front of him had been staying in the royal capital recently and might know some unknown secrets. "Brother Feng, you can tell me now." When the waiter brought the wine and filled the three people's glasses, the fat warrior couldn't wait to ask. "Brother Ren, you've asked the right person. I happen to know some inside information about this matter." The skinny warrior took a sip, looking very enjoyable, which whetted the appetite of the fat warrior, who then spoke. "You know the 9th prince, right?" the skinny warrior said mysteriously. "I know this. He is the 9th prince who was banished to Yuanjiang City." The fat warrior nodded. This incident was widely spread at the time, so he had heard a little about it. "What does this have to do with Princess Qingcheng?" the portly warrior asked with a puzzled look on his face. "You don't know this, right? Princess Qingcheng is the 9th prince's biological sister, born of the same mother." The skinny warrior poured another cup of drunken wine, took a sip with satisfaction, and continued. "So there is this connection," the fat warrior suddenly realized. "Of course there are more relationships than these. Do you know why Princess Qingcheng was stripped of her title?" The thin warrior continued. "Why?" "Princess Qingcheng contradicted the eldest prince because of her brother. In front of all the civil and military officials, she scolded the eldest prince. At that time, Princess Qingcheng was truly as brave as any man. The eldest prince was speechless and became angry on the spot. This is how a series of events happened later. The skinny warrior then dropped a bombshell. You contradicted the eldest prince in public and embarrassed him? The fat warrior glared and exclaimed. Now, the fat warrior finally understood why Princess Qingcheng was stripped of her title. You should know that the title of Princess Qingcheng was given by the old king, and not everyone can use it. But who is the eldest prince? The old king Buluo is seriously injured, and the eldest prince is in charge of the government. He can almost be said to be the future King Buluo. Chapter 21 The Dog Dared to Hit on My Sister. Direct access via mobile phone, m.xnwanben.com. With the eldest prince's means, it is just a matter of wanting to deprive Princess Qingcheng of her title or not. Now, the old king is bedridden and does not care about state affairs. Can be said that the eldest prince basically has the final say in the Buluo dynasty. If the eldest prince wanted to strip Princess Qingcheng of her title, it would only take a word. What a pity! The portly warrior shook his head and sighed. With so many ministers among the civil and military officials, is there no one who stands up to speak for Princess Qingcheng? The fat warrior asked. Yes, there is. Old Grand Tutor Sima did stand up and speak for Princess Qingcheng. The eldest prince gave face to the old Grand Tutor Sima and promised that as long as Princess Qingcheng admitted her mistake and married Wang Lei, the son of General Wang Chongshan, the matter would be over. But who would have thought that Princess Qingcheng would scold the eldest prince for being shameless, which made the eldest prince even more furious. Now even the old Grand Tutor Sima could not protect Princess Qingcheng. The eldest prince ordered that Princess Qingcheng must marry Wang Lei within 6 months. The skinny warrior said regretfully, "The imperial family is the most ruthless. It's a pity that Princess Qingcheng, such a stubborn and extraordinary woman, became the eldest prince's bargaining chip to win over General Wang Chongshan." The conversation at the dinner table ended just like that, but it aroused the anger of one person. Bang! The wine glass in his hand was crushed into pieces. The hard debris pierced his skin, and blood mixed with wine dripped down. But Qin Yi was completely unaware. "Prince!" Qin Yi narrowed his eyes slightly, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. As a warrior, Qin Yi had sharp ears and eyes, so he naturally heard every word of the conversation between the two warriors. Princess Qingcheng, Qin Yuji, Qin Yi's biological sister in this life. Now, she was stripped of her princess title by the eldest prince. She was even used as a bargaining chip to win people's hearts and was forced to marry Wang Lei. This is really unacceptable to Qin Yi. Qin Yuji, the stunning princess of the Undying Dynasty, was hailed as the most beautiful woman in the dynasty. She possessed a beauty that could bring disaster to the country and its people, and her gentle personality and graceful manners attracted countless heroes of the dynasty to pursue her. But Wang Lei is a well-known playboy in the capital. How can he be worthy of his sister? It would have been fine if he had been suppressed by the eldest prince and even had someone sent to assassinate him, but the eldest prince actually turned his attention to his own sister. "Prince, you are seeking death." Qin Yi's eyes became increasingly cold, and murderous intent was boiling in his chest. The dragon has a reverse scale. Whoever touches it will die. Qin Yuji is his biological sister in this life and a family member to him. Qin Yi would never allow her to be hurt in any way, even though he has only been in this world for less than a few months. Even though he has only been with Qin Yuji for less than a month, his protective feelings for her will never change. During the month in the royal capital, Qin Yuji gave him the company of his family. The deep brother-sister love between the two in my memory is so strong. Before leaving, Qin Yuji came to see him off with deep concern. All these had already made Qin Yi treat Qin Yuji as his own sister. Now, the eldest prince deliberately set a trap to force Qin Yuji. This is simply too much. "Prince, I swear, within 6 months, I will set foot in the capital and take your head." Qin Yi's eyes were gloomy, and there was a cold murderous intent gathering and churning in his eyes. At this moment, Qin Yi was filled with murderous intent, which was about to burst out, and it would be a bloody storm. The day he returns to the capital, the eldest prince will die. Chapter 22. Let's go, Byakuya, and kill people. Direct access via mobile phone, m.xnwanben.com. Half a year, he only has half a year left. Qin couldn't help but feel anxious. He was still too weak now. Half a year later, Qin Yuji will marry Wang Lei. He must possess sufficient strength and power within the next 6 months to be able to return to the capital and rescue Qin Yuji and his mother. Since the eldest prince dared to deal with him so blatantly, he must have political enemies. It can be seen that the old king of Bulluo is in danger, so both Qin Yuji and Qin Yi's mother will probably have a hard time in the royal capital. Therefore, Qin Yi must expand his own power and enhance his own strength as soon as possible. But in the final analysis, Qin Yi now only has Bai Zai, a strong man under his command. Although Byakuya is strong, he is only one person after all, and his strength is limited. Qin Yi was sure that if he relied on Bai Zai's strength, he would be able to fight his way back to the capital. The final result will undoubtedly be that a stronger warrior will appear and kill Qin Yi and the other two on the spot. Therefore, although Qin Yi was furious, he did not lose his mind. Power, power. I need strength. Qin Yi roared in his heart. Never before had Qin Yi been so eager for power, eager for the power to blow everything up. If Qin Yi possessed the power he had in last night's dream, would the eldest prince still dare to humiliate him and force his own sister? Not to mention anything else, as long as Byakuya recovers his captain-level combat power, he will dare to take Byakuya back to the royal capital. Hua! Qin Yi stood up abruptly and walked out with an expressionless face. Master, where are you going? Byakuya followed closely behind, somewhat confused. Normally, my young master would sit here for at least a cup of tea. Let's go kill people. Qin Yi turned his head, looked at Bai Zai, and suddenly grinned. Yes, master. Qin Yi's smile made Bai Zai's heart tremble. He could feel the murderous intent suppressed in Qin Yi's heart. As a subject, if the king humiliates me, I will die. Qin Yi's anger is Bai Zai's sword. Wherever the young master points, I will kill there. I am a sharp blade in the young master's hand, cutting through the obstacles in front of the young master. Shoshui Village. Outside Yuanjiang City, there is a quiet village. Outside Shoshui Village, a beautiful river meanders by, and the emerald green water flows quietly. This is a quiet and peaceful village, with not many people visiting on weekdays. Today, the tranquility here was broken by a group of bandits. Kill them, take all the money and food, and rape a few women. Then we can go back to the village and have fun. Little guys, come on. Kill! A chaotic cry of killing rang out not far from the village. How dare you, you little scoundrel, invade Shoshui Village? Amidst the shouts of the bandits, an angry roar suddenly rang out. In front of Shoshui Village, dozens of strong men from the village were confronting the bandits with knives and harpoons in hand. The leader was a burly man in a short shirt, holding an iron rod as thick as an egg. The angry shout came from this man. Ha ha ha! We're robbing your Shoshui village. The leader of the bandits burst into laughter. Aren't you afraid that the government will cause trouble for you? The burly man looked a little grim and shouted in a deep voice. The burly man knew that it was impossible to repel these bandits with just the few farmers behind him. He could only use his official title to scare away the bandits. What a joke! The new mayor of Yuanjiang City can barely protect himself, so how can he care about you? It seems that these bandits don't buy it at all or don't care. Chapter 23. Bandit. Run away. You are going to die. Direct access via mobile phone, m.xnwanben.com. Follow me, boys, and kill these ignorant men. Then we can go back to the stronghold and drink. The bandit leader called out to his bandits, who were already extremely excited and charged forward. Kill! The bandits behind the bandit leader screamed, waved their sabers, and rushed towards dozens of men. Big guy, behind us is our home. These people are extremely vicious bandits. What do you think we should do? A fierce battle was inevitable. The burly man could not help but tighten the iron rod in his hand and shouted in a deep voice. Only fight to the death. The dozens of farmers behind the burly man had sad faces, but firm eyes and held their weapons tightly. Behind them are their entire families. They cannot retreat, nor do they dare to retreat. The bandits rode on horses and soon arrived close to the villagers, fighting with the farmers in Shoshue village. As soon as they started fighting, the gap between the two sides became apparent. On one side is a farmer who only knows some farming tricks. On one side are the bandits who are on the edge of a knife. The result of the confrontation between the two sides is obvious. The number of bandits who took action was half that of the farmers, but the bandits had an absolute advantage. These farmhands had no martial arts skills at all, so they were no match for the bandits who were at least at the first or second level of acquired martial arts. In just a few fights, several farmers had died at the hands of the bandits. "How dare you, you rat!" Seeing another farmer die tragically in front of him, the burly man roared in anger. He brandished the iron rod in his hand with great force and smashed the bandit's head in front of him, causing blood to splatter everywhere in an instant. This burly man had learned a few martial arts moves and had some skills, making him much stronger than the average bandit. "Don't be so arrogant. Grandpa is here to meet you." Seeing the burly man showing off his power, the surrounding bandits looked at each other, abandoned their opponents, and surrounded and killed him. The next moment, the burly man was caught in a tough fight. As time went on, the situation became increasingly unfavorable for the farmers. In just a quarter of an hour, 10 farmers had fallen in a pool of blood, while only one bandit was killed. This is the result of the bandit leader bringing 2 bandits to watch the show. The farmer is in danger. Fourth leader, 2 young warriors are coming from behind. Just as the bandit leader folded his arms and watched from the sidelines. Outside the battlefield, a bandit who was on guard duty rode his horse to the bandit leader and reported to him. "Young warrior, which sect are you from?" Hearing this, the bandit leader felt nervous and asked quickly, "As a bandit, what I fear most are those young knights who are chivalrous and righteous. These disciples who have just left the sect are young and energetic, with strong backgrounds, not to mention their strong strength, even if their strength is weak. If they are not handled properly, it will bring disaster to them and endanger the safety of a village. No, they are not wearing any sex attire. They look like a rich young man traveling with servants." The bandits under his command responded. "Rich young man? How about this, you go and get rid of them. Remember, don't harm their lives." The bandit leader pondered for a moment and gave instructions to his men. Now they are fighting with the people from Shoshue village, and the bandit leader does not want to offend 2 people of unknown origin. Just use some tricks to drive the other party away. However, he didn't want to offend the visitor, but the other party didn't think so. "Ah!" With a scream, another bandit scout died on the spot. Chapter 24 Young man, how about giving me some face? Direct access via mobile phone, m.xinwanben.com. A stream of true energy shot out and killed the bandit scout on the spot. The true energy is released, and the person who comes is a master above the 7th level of acquired realm. "Who are you?" "The Black Wind Bandits are here to do business." "Why don't you leave immediately?" The bandit leader's expression suddenly changed and he spoke loudly. It's not that the bandit leader was afraid of the newcomer, but he didn't want to cause any more trouble. However, the person on the other side remained silent and did not respond. Tread, tread, tread. Heavy and slow footsteps approached slowly. What followed was a strange feeling of oppression. The rhythmic footsteps seemed to hit a certain strange node, the gap between the heartbeats of everyone present. Boom, boom, boom. Even the bandit leader's blood boiled, and his face flushed red because of the heavy footsteps. The bandit leader was the most powerful bandit present, and if he was like this, let alone the other bandits. Tread. The footsteps suddenly stopped, and the sudden sense of difference made it impossible for people to adapt. Several bandits with the worst cultivation level spat out blood from their mouths. There were already 2 people standing in front of the bandits. Each of them wore a white robe, a gilded jade crown on his head, a jade belt around his waist, and black boots on his feet, dressed like a rich young man. A man wearing a black robe, a strange headband on his head, a long sword at his waist, came without touching the ground. The bandit leader's pupils shrank. The aura emitted by the two people in front of him gave him a terrifying feeling of oppression. Combined with the previous footsteps, he realized that they were no match for the two people in front of them. My two heroes, I am the fourth leader of the Black Wind Bandits. I am here to do something for you. Please give me some favors. The bandit leader gritted his teeth, rode his horse forward, and spoke loudly to the two of them. Just like before, the burly man brought out the official's name, and the bandit leader brought out the name of his own village, in order to scare away the intruders. Black Wind Bandit? The rich young man who came in the lead raised his head and looked at the bandit leader with a gloomy look. The indifferent look made the bandit leader's heart tremble. However, from what this person said, it seemed that he had heard of the Black Wind Bandits, so things would be easy. The Black Wind Bandits are the most powerful bandits in the vicinity of Yuanjiang City. The Black Wind Bandits' chief and second chief are both innately powerful, and no one dares to mess with them. Even the city guard office in Yuanjiang City would give them face, so they were not afraid that these two people would not give them face. Yes, we are all from the Black Wind Bandits. Please give us some favors, the bandit leader said loudly. Okay, I'll give you a favor, and you should give me a favor too. The rich young man smiled lightly and spoke calmly. The bandit leader was suddenly stunned and didn't react for a moment. The next moment, a white arm suddenly appeared in front of the bandit leader. In an instant, under the bandit leader's horrified gaze, this white hand easily broke through his chi defense and grabbed his neck. It was the rich young man who captured the bandit leader. In a short time, the bandit leader was captured by the rich young man in front of him. The bandit leader was lifted up in the air by the rich young man, kicking around wildly. His face turned red due to congestion, and his hands struggled to tear the rich young man's right arm. But the rich young man's palm was like an iron hoop, tightly clamping his neck, getting tighter and tighter. All this happened in a flash. By the time the other bandits reacted, the bandit leader was already having trouble breathing. His eyes rolled back. Chapter 25 The Domineering Boy is So Cool. Direct access via mobile phone. m.xnwanben.com. Oh no! The four leaders are in trouble. Take action quickly. The bandits finally reacted, shouting and screaming, abandoning their opponents and surrounding the two rich young men. The rich young man seemed unaware and did not react at all. The burly man from Shoshue village opened his mouth, wanting to remind the young man. Snort! But he heard a cold snort, and saw the black-robed man behind the rich young man sway slightly. Just a slight shake. The burly man only had time to see a flash of bright knife light. Ah! The next moment, screams rang out one after another. The sword is invisible and kills the bandits instantly. Dozens of bandits screamed and covered their necks. The dozen or so bandits trembled all over, and bright red blood spurted out from their necks, forming a bright red scroll. This scene seemed to be frozen in front of the burly man. Plop! A breeze blew by, and the dozen or so bandits fell heavily off their horses like floating catkins. Blood spilled and merged into a river of blood, flowing on the ground. So strong! The burly man stared blankly at the man in black robe, his expression shocked to the extreme. With just one strike, all these elite bandits were killed. For a moment, the shouting and screaming in front of Shoshue village suddenly stopped and peace returned. The farmers in Shoshue village opened their eyes wide and became stunned. There was only one thought in their minds. Are they saved now? One moment they were fighting tooth and nail, ready to die for their homeland, and the next they were miraculously rescued. Sometimes fate is so wonderful. Everything that happened around him did not affect Qin-Yi at all. Even if there were 10 times as many bandits as this, they would still not be a match for Byakuya. That's right. The rich young man and the black-robed warrior are Qin-Yi and Bai Zai. After leaving Zuixianglu, Qin-Yi took Bai Zai out for several days and did not even return to the mansion. Bai Zai knew that Qin-Yi was looking for the Black Wind Bandit. He didn't know why Qin-Yi wanted to kill the Black Wind Bandit so much. He only knew that whatever Qin-Yi thought was what he had to do. Fortunately, they finally found traces of a group of bandits near a small village by the river. What's even more fortunate is that these are the Black Wind Bandits' troops. I ask, you answer. Qin Yi grabbed the bandit leader's neck and lifted him up high. Hurry! Put me down, I am the fourth leader of the Black Wind Bandits. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits is my brother-in-law. Kill me, my brother-in-law won't let you go, the bandit leader said with a red face, struggling. I ask, you answer. Qin Yi spoke with a blank expression, emphasizing each word. You can't. The bandit leader was about to say something, but before he could finish his words, he opened his mouth and let out a shrill scream. But he saw his left hand thrown high up, and it was cut off from the wrist to the arm. Tick! Qin Yi pinched the bandit leader's neck with his left hand and held his sword in his right hand, with blood dripping down the sword. The broken palm of the bandit leader's left hand was his masterpiece. I ask, you answer. Qin Yi's eyes were as calm as water, as if he had done something insignificant. You are a devil. You are a devil. The bandit leader looked terrified and full of fear of Qin Yi, shouting madly. Puff! Another sword flashed, and the bandit leader's left arm was completely cut off. I ask questions and you answer them. The faint sound seemed to come from hell. Chapter 26. Thank you for leading the way. Direct access via mobile phone. m.xianwanben.com. The bandit leader was still screaming, and blood was gushing out from the wound on his left arm. When the bandit leader caught sight of Qin Yi's sharp eyes, his heart trembled again. Master, if you ask, I'll tell you everything. Enduring the severe pain, the bandit leader hurriedly replied. Tell me, where is the Black Wind Bandits' lair? Qin Yi asked expressionlessly. Our Black Wind Bandits' lair is 10 miles away, on the Chilean mountains. Seeing Qin Yi asking about the Black Wind Bandits' lair, the bandit leader hesitated for a moment. But the severe pain in his body and Qin Yi's gloomy gaze made the bandit leader shudder, and he quickly answered. Chilean mountains? Qin Yi narrowed his eyes and couldn't help frowning. Yes, it's the Chilean mountains. The bandit leader nodded continuously, and once he started speaking, he did not hide anything. In his opinion, the man in front of him was a killing god, and the most important thing for him now was to save his own life. Hearing this, Qin Yi did not comment, but slowly lowered his eyes, not knowing what he was thinking. Get lost! Just when the bandit leader was terrified, a voice without any color rang out. Then, he felt the arm that was tightly gripping his neck suddenly loosen, and he fell to the ground. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. The bandit leader showed ecstasy on his face and kept kowtowing to Qin Yi. Immediately, the bandit leader stood up and ran out in panic, not even caring about the bodies of his brothers. It seemed that he was afraid that Qin Yi would suddenly change his mind. Qin Yi and the other man stood where they were, with no intention of chasing after them. Soon, the bandit leader disappeared from the sight of the men of Shoshue village. We survived! The farmers in Shoshue village burst into tears of joy and cheered loudly. For them, being alive is a happy thing. Their homes have been saved, and there is still hope for the future. After cheering, when these men were about to find the two benefactors to express their gratitude, they didn't know when the two warriors had disappeared. After searching for a long time, there was still no sign of the two benefactors. In desperation, the farmers had to give up and instead place the bodies of their dead brothers. Only the burly man stood quietly in front of Shoshue village, tightly holding the iron rod in his hand, wondering what he was thinking. Dense woods. A figure was running madly towards the distance, as if someone was chasing him from behind. The only strange thing was that the man's left arm was completely broken, as if someone had cut it off with a sharp blade. As the figure ran, blood occasionally oozed out from the wound on the broken arm. The bandit leader ran for a long time until he could not run anymore, and then he stopped panting. Hoo-hoo! The bandit leader leaned against a big tree, his face pale from running wildly and losing too much blood. Boy, don't let me know who you are. Otherwise, I will make you die miserably." The bandit leader glanced angrily in the direction of the passing people, and a trace of resentment flashed across his face. "No, I can't swallow this. I must hurry back to the mountain to find my brother-in-law and avenge myself. Those two won't get far. At the very least, I'll raze Shoshue village to the ground to vent my anger." The bandit leader had a ferocious look on his face and was roaring. Having made up his mind, he did not stop, identified the direction, and left quickly. Chapter 27: The Young Enemy's Lair has been found by you. Direct access via mobile phone. m.xinwanben.com. Chilean Mountains. Strictly speaking, the Chilean Mountains can be considered a mountain range of medium size. It consists of 4 huge peaks and some scattered small peaks. Although the Chilean Mountains are warm like spring all year round, with colorful flowers and full of spiritual energy. But because the roads in the Chilean Mountains are so complicated, you can easily get lost if you are not careful. Even the most experienced hunters would not dare to say that they can move freely in and out of the Chilean Mountains. In addition, a few years ago, Chilean Mountain was controlled by a mysterious force and no one was allowed to enter at will. This force is extremely ruthless. Anyone who enters Chilean Mountains has never come out. This also makes the Chilean Mountains look a bit eerie and scary, making people stay away from them. The bandit leader came to the foot of Chilean Mountain and did not stop. He found the road familiarly and went up along the way. It seemed that he was very familiar with the road conditions in Chilean Mountain. I followed the mountain road, turning left and right, and walked for an unknown distance before the view in front of me suddenly opened up. A huge village appeared before our eyes. It can be vaguely seen that there are several teams of powerful bandits patrolling inside the village. There is a wooden plaque hanging on the wooden gate of the village. On it, it says, Black Wind Village. This is the Black Wind Bandits' lair, Black Wind Village. The Black Wind Bandits are the most powerful bandits in this area, or the most feared bandit force. First, the Black Wind Bandits are extremely ruthless and will even use any means necessary to achieve their own interests. The Black Wind Bandits have massacred ordinary unarmed farmers more than once or twice. Second, no one could find the Black Wind Bandits' lair. The Black Wind Bandits come and go without a trace. Their whereabouts are so erratic that it is impossible to find their lair. If it is just about eliminating a small group of Black Wind Bandits, many forces can do it. However, this would attract the attention of the entire Black Wind Bandits. Once, a force wiped out a group of Black Wind Bandits, and has been targeted by the Black Wind Bandits ever since. I'm not afraid of thieves stealing or robbing, I'm just afraid of thieves thinking about it. The same principle applies to the Black Wind Bandits. The Black Wind Bandits targeted that force and eventually harassed them, causing them to suffer heavy losses. In the end, that force admitted its mistake and took over the matter. This incident also made the Black Wind Bandits' reputation even more prestigious. Many forces are extremely wary of the Black Wind Bandits. No one ever thought of dealing with the Black Wind Bandits before finding their lair. Moreover, the Black Wind Bandits are very particular about the targets they choose to attack. They never take the initiative to attack powerful forces. Therefore, most of the forces that have the ability to destroy the Black Wind Bandits chose to turn a blind eye to them. In addition, the Black Wind Bandits are very powerful. Therefore, the Black Wind Bandit has been able to get away with it until now. As soon as he saw the gate of the stronghold, the bandit leader smiled immediately, and in an instant even the wound on his left arm no longer felt painful. As long as he returns to the mountain stronghold, he can mobilize a large number of troops to destroy Shoshue village and vent his anger. Thinking of this, the bandit leader couldn't help but reveal a ferocious smile on his face. Just as the bandit leader was about to walk quickly into the stronghold, his steps paused, his expression became panic-stricken, and he turned his head blankly to look behind him. This is the Black Wind Bandits' lair. It's hidden enough, no wonder no one can find it. The indifferent voice floated lightly from behind the bandit leader, making him break out in a cold sweat. You, the bandit leader stammered. Thank you for showing me the way. As soon as he finished speaking, the sword flashed, and Deheo's head was thrown high into the air. Chapter 28. The next step is to flatten the enemy's lair. Enemy attack. Enemy attack. Everything that happened in front of the stronghold attracted the attention of the bandits patrolling in the wooden building. There was a sudden commotion among the bandits, and groups of them gathered in front of the gate. Bai Zai, besides the Black Wind Bandits chief and second chief taking action. You don't need to worry about the rest. Qin Yi turned around and gave instructions to Bai Zai behind him. Yes, master, Bai Yi responded, bowing his head slightly. Bai Zai did not stop Qin Yi, no matter if it was to let Qin Yi vent his anger. Another reason is to allow Qin Yi to adapt to the soaring power, and a life-and-death fight must be the fastest way. With him watching over him, Qin Yi would naturally be safe. The bandit in front of him happened to be Qin Yi's best training target. Who are you? And what brings you to Black Wind Village? The first and second leaders of the Black Wind Bandits did not show up, and the bandits were led by the third leader of the Black Wind Bandits. The three leaders looked at Qin Yi and the other two cautiously, trying to find some clues from them. The three leaders looked solemn. As the saying goes, those who are kind don't come, and those who come are not kind. The two opponents dared to show up in Black Wind Village, so they must have something to rely on. Of course, we must be careful. However, when he saw the headless corpse lying in front of them, his expression suddenly changed, and the little bit of caution in his heart was instantly thrown out of his mind. Old Four. The three leaders exclaimed in shock, their faces becoming extremely ugly. How dare you kill the people from Black Wind Village? Brothers, kill them and avenge the four leaders. The three leaders shouted angrily, and immediately rushed towards Qin Yi and the other two with their ring-handled swords. Whether it is to cover up the location of Black Wind Village or to avenge the four leaders of Black Wind Village, he will not let the two people in front of him go. He really didn't believe that two boys who were only 18 years old could cause such a big fuss in front of him. A 9th-level warrior, not bad. Looking at the three leaders who were showing their full momentum, Qin Yi closed his head slightly, and his right hand instantly touched the sword at his waist. Clang! With a sound of sword ringing, a sharp sword appeared in his hand. Qin Yi, holding a sword in his hand, changed his aura. His eyes were like swords, and he already had some of the aura of a swordsman. Die! The three leaders roared and slashed with their swords. The strong and vigorous energy was condensed and not dispersed. It was completely gathered on the knife. The air was cut through and a roaring sound was emitted. Qin Yi didn't take it head-on, but shouted, Dragon Fang Flash! The body and the sword became one, like a white dragon, blending into the clouds and mist, appearing and disappearing, making it impossible to distinguish its traces. This move, Dragon Fang Flash, is most suitable for dealing with warriors with aggressive martial arts styles, avoiding their sharp edges and looking for opportunities to counterattack. The third leader roared angrily, but his attacks were completely ineffective in front of Qin Yi. Qin Yi was like a slippery loach, skillfully avoiding all his attacks. Even if he wasn't careful, he would be swept by Qin Yi's sword and left with sword wounds. Damn you, boy! If you have the guts, don't hide and fight me squarely. The third leader felt extremely aggrieved. If this continued, he would be exhausted to death by Qin Yi sooner or later. The bandits around him were unable to intervene in the fight between the two men, and the situation became increasingly unfavorable to him. Okay, Qin Yi smiled faintly. Fighting is indeed the best way to make people adapt to their strength. The battle just now allowed him to quickly adapt to his own skyrocketing strength. The three leaders of the Black Wind Bandits are tough and thick-skinned, making them excellent candidates for sword practice. But Qin Yi and the others are still in the Black Wind Bandits' lair, so they cannot be careless. Thinking of this, Qin Yi made up his mind that it was time to end this battle. Chapter 29. The boss is so weak. Direct access via mobile phone, m.xinwanben.com. Qin Yi chuckled and turned the sword in his hand. His sword style became domineering and straightforward, and he confronted the three leaders head-on. Boy, you're looking for death. Take my move, and I'll slash the stone. The three leaders sneered repeatedly. Qin Yi actually dared to confront him head-on. This was undoubtedly courting death. The three leaders roared loudly, and the ring-handled swords broke through the air fiercely. The plain and simple true energy flashed across the blade, and the blade fell vertically like an indestructible stone tablet, and the air was shaking. The third leader smiled grimly. Qin Yi would definitely not be able to dodge this move. If he dared to confront him head-on, he would be courting death. Qin Yi's body froze, and the knife covered him. The aura of the three leaders locked onto him, leaving him with no way to escape. Since he couldn't avoid it, Qin Yi stopped dodging. With a sneer, he turned into a meteor and slashed straight towards the three leaders, using the flying star slash move. Bang! There was a sound like the clanging of metal and stone, and Qin Yi's figure appeared in the distance, with a sword in his hand dotted with blood. How is this possible? How is this possible? The three leaders' faces were filled with disbelief, and their pupils began to dilate. Looking closely, one can vaguely see a sword wound on the neck of the third leader, from which blood is oozing out. Three leaders, die. Qin Yi glanced at the three fallen leaders calmly, his expression normal. With his Chongshao swordsmanship that had reached a high level, if it weren't for the purpose of honing himself, the three leaders would have died at his feet long ago. Once the three leaders died, no one among the bandits could be Qin Yi's match. Qin Yi was like a wolf among a flock of sheep, killing people all the way. Every sword strike displayed the power of Chongshao sword technique. The frustration pent up in my heart was also released. Qin Yi had a great time killing, and the Black Wind bandits were defeated step by step. Youngster, stop being so arrogant. At this moment, a roar came from a distance. The air seemed to be shaken by this roar. Get the first impression. Then, a figure stepped on the void and flew over from afar. The person who came was an innate warrior. The man stretched out his hand and grabbed, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth gathered instantly, turning into a huge hand that covered the sky and grabbed Qin Yi. The second leader is here. The second leader is here. We are saved. The bandits immediately shouted that Qin Yi had just killed them and scared them. However, as soon as the second leader of the Black Wind bandits made a move, their morale immediately soared. The second leader is an innate warrior, and it is easy for him to kill this ungrateful boy. In fact, the two leaders thought so too. Although Qin Yi's performance was very eye-catching, he had not surpassed the innate realm after all, so he would definitely not be his opponent. In the crowd, Qin Yi continued to slaughter the bandits without even looking at the second leader. Good boy, how dare you ignore me? Even with the second leader's temperament, he couldn't help but get angry. Since when did a junior dare to look down on him like this? The second leader laughed in anger, and with an idea in his mind, he slapped Qin Yi with his huge hand. If this move is successfully executed, it will be like killing an ant, and Qin Yi will be beaten into a meat paste. The second leader grinned, as if he had already seen the scene of Qin Yi being beaten into pieces. Humph! If you want to hurt my young master, you have to get past me first. A cold voice, accompanied by a flash of knife light as fast as lightning, tore through the sky. The flash of sword light came in an instant, and the second leader had no time to react. The second leader's pupils shrank. He was now in a stage where his old strength had just gone and new strength had not yet been generated. The knife was so fast that he had no time to react. The one who attacked was naturally Bai Zai, and the sword went straight to the second leader's vital point. Leave him alive. At this time, Qin Yi's voice floated from afar, stopping Bai Zai's killing move. Chapter 30: The Young Man Who Eliminated Harm for the People. Direct access via mobile phone, m.xinwanben.com. Bai Zai's offensive stagnated, and the two leaders looked delighted. They seized the opportunity, stepped forward, and quickly retreated. Bai Zai raised his eyelids slightly, dropped the knife, and stretched out his hand to grab it. His figure flashed, and the next moment he was close to the second leader. Bang! Bai Yu's right arm gently pressed against the second leader's dantian. With a slight sound, the second leader was suddenly knocked away in the unbelievable eyes of the bandits. Puff! A mouthful of blood spurted out, and the second leader's momentum suddenly weakened. The second leader looked as if he had aged dozens of years and fell heavily to the ground. The second leader's dantian was broken. Baya's palm shattered his dantian. My cultivation! My cultivation! The two leaders lay on the ground with lifeless eyes, no longer having the high spirits they had when they came. Compared to death, having the dantian shattered makes a warrior's life worse than death. The second leader lay dejectedly on the ground. He never thought that dealing with a kid of the 9th level of the acquired realm would lead him to such a state. Baya's palm not only broke his dantian, but also severed his meridians. If nothing unexpected happens, the second leader will be a waste in this life. Even if his injuries recover, he will just be an ordinary person and will no longer be the high and mighty innate warrior. Bai Zai's power is so fierce. The second leader was defeated. The surrounding bandits looked distraught. The second leader, who they thought was invincible, was actually defeated by Byakuya. Moreover, the defeat was so clean and neat. Ahem, sir. We have no grudges in the past or present. Why are you so cruel? The second leader of the Black Wind Bandits, who was lying on the ground, asked with a bitter face, trying hard to stay awake. No grudges in the past, no hatred in the present. The Black Wind Bandits have disturbed the peace of my territory. This is called having no grudges in the past and no hatred in the present. Bai Zai did not speak, and Qin Yi, who was still fighting, answered the second leader's question. 1,000 miles of red clouds. Qin Yi shouted softly, and the sword light flowed, turning into red clouds and smoke that covered the surroundings. The red clouds and smoke instantly enveloped the bandits around Qin Yi. As the sword flashed, bits of blood mist sprayed and merged into the red clouds and smoke. It's like blood-red plum blossoms blooming in the clouds, appearing and disappearing. The red clouds dissipated, leaving only Qin Yi standing proudly. A single move of red clouds covered 1,000 miles, killing countless bandits. You are the 9th prince. Looking at Qin Yi standing tall, the second leader finally reacted. Ha ha ha. Wrong. All wrong. It turns out that the soft persimmon that Big Brother mentioned is actually a ferocious dragon crossing the river. The second leader smiled desolately, regretting his decision in his heart. He regretted accepting the order from the Yuanjiang City Defense Office to disrupt the surrounding areas of Yuanjiang City and create an excuse for the eldest prince to deal with Qin Yi. In the end, disaster still occurred. Originally, the Black Wind Bandits, a bandit group entrenched in Yuanjiang City, would never attack the villages surrounding Yuanjiang City. First of all, the Black Wind Bandits are, after all, a group of bandits. If we really anger the big shots in Yuanjiang City and call in the Yuanjiang City army to suppress us, I'm afraid they won't be able to resist. Secondly, many brothers among the Black Wind Bandits also came from villages around Yuanjiang City. Therefore, the Black Wind Bandits have always lived in peace with the villages around Yuanjiang City. The Black Wind Bandits mostly targeted passing merchant caravans. Until the people from Yuanjiang City's city defense office came to their door and asked them to take action to spread cholera around Yuanjiang City, and promised that they would not send troops to wipe them out. Under the coercion and inducement of the city guard, the Black Wind Bandits finally took action, which ended up bringing disaster. Chapter 31. There will be no shortage of conspiracies. Direct access via mobile phone. m.xinwanben.com. Puff! The sword pierced his chest, and the warm blood took away the last warmth from his body. The second leader of the Black Wind Bandits smiled miserably and closed his eyes. Ding! Congratulations to the host for killing an elite life form. The current elite life form has reached the first level of innate cultivation. One realm higher than the host, extracting experience points and killing points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for gaining 50 experience points and 3 kill points. The system's prompt did not make Qin Yi happy, but instead made him frown. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits is not in this village? Qin Yi turned around and looked at Bai Zai, who had just walked out of the mountain village. Yes, I searched everywhere inside and outside the village, but I couldn't find the leader of the Black Wind Bandits. Bai Zai nodded slightly. Hearing this, Qin Yi frowned tightly. This was beyond his expectation. In the past few days, he spent a lot of time and energy searching for the Black Wind Bandits, but it was not just to vent his anger. Qin Yi wanted to complete the system's task, that mission to wipe out the Black Wind Bandits, for the reward of summoning opportunity. This is the fastest and most reliable way Qin Yi can think of to increase his power. The last time I summoned, Byakuya arrived. If he summons again, the summoned character does not need to be stronger. As long as his strength is not weaker than Byakuya, then the foundation of his power will have a qualitative leap. I have 2 subordinates with at least the 4th level of innate combat power. This is no joke. Even the eldest prince, who holds the position of crown prince, can probably only mobilize this much power. After all, the eldest prince is not yet the king of the dynasty, he is just the crown prince. However, now that the Black Wind Bandits leader cannot be found, it means that Qin Yi cannot complete the system task. Qin Yi destroyed the Black Wind village, but the leader of the Black Wind Bandits was still alive, which led the system to assume that he had not completed the mission. For a moment, this made Qin Yi frown. Could it be that the leader of the Black Wind Bandits who was guarding here has returned? No, he and Byakuya haven't returned to the mansion for several days. The eldest prince's lackeys and the city guard's men are watching covetously. If they don't return to the mansion, trouble may arise again. Others don't have to care, but Lu Yi and Qin Yi have to care. This is related to the plan between him and the old man of the Lu family, so he can't take it lightly. Master, I found some letters inside the stronghold. Please take a look. At this time, Bai Zai took out some envelopes and handed them to Qin Yi. Letter. Qin Yi took the envelopes doubtfully and opened them immediately. Qin Yi flipped through the letters quickly, one after another, but his expression became increasingly ugly. Okay, very good. Qin Yi held the letter in his hand and said with gritted teeth. The contents of these letters are very simple. They are the correspondence between the Yuanjiang City Defense Office and the Black Wind Bandits. The content of the letter revealed that the Black Wind Bandits were causing chaos around Yuanjiang City, and that it was under the orders of the City Defense Office, or rather, the eldest prince. Qin Yi had always wondered why the Black Wind Bandits started harassing the surrounding areas of Yuanjiang City like crazy as soon as he arrived there. Turned out that this was the reason. My great prince, you really are haunting me. Qin Yi's eyes were cold, and his fierce murderous intent was almost uncontrollable. At this moment, his murderous intent towards the eldest prince became even stronger. Let's go back to Yuanjiang City. After a while, Qin Yi took a deep breath and spoke slowly. His top priority now is to find the leader of the Black Wind Bandits, kill him, and complete the system task. When he grows stronger, he will have plenty of opportunities to settle accounts with the eldest prince. This last letter also pointed out the reason why the leader of the Black Wind Bandits was not in the Black Wind Village. He was invited to Yuanjiang City by the City Guard Office. Chapter 32: What to Do When the Evil Comes to Bully You. Yuanjiang City. In front of the City Lord's mansion, there are 2 groups of people confronting each other. One side was led by a tall, young woman, followed by a group of servants. One side was led by a tough-looking man with a fierce look like a vulture. Behind this man followed a group of well-equipped soldiers, full of murderous intent. No matter how you look at it, women are at a disadvantage. Some onlookers gathered around and talked about it. The city guard's mansion and the city lord's mansion are at odds again. This is the nth time this month that city guard Lu has been causing trouble for the 9th prince whenever he gets the chance. However, why hasn't the 9th prince appeared this time? I think the 9th prince is probably scared and is hiding in the mansion, not daring to come out. This 9th prince is a coward. He actually let the eldest daughter of the Lu family take the blame. Miss Lu, please let the 9th prince come out and see us. The sinister man who led the elite soldiers of the city defense office spoke loudly. The young woman was none other than Lu Yi. Her eyebrows raised as she shouted coldly, "Who are you? How dare you surround the city lord's mansion? Ha ha ha. Let me introduce myself. I'm the leader of the Black Wind Bandits." The sinister man laughed, looked around, and said lightly, "Black Wind Bandits. They are actually Black Wind Bandits. He is the leader of the Black Wind Bandits. How did the Black Wind Bandits get mixed up with the people from the city guardhouse?" As soon as the Black Wind Bandits' leader finished speaking, it caused an uproar. The people watching around were horrified and looked at the leader of the Black Wind Bandits in awe, staying away from them as if they were avoiding snakes and scorpions. Recently, the Black Wind Bandits have become notorious around Yuanjiang City. Cholera spread to the villages around Yuanjiang City, and villagers were massacred, all of which made the civilians in Yuanjiang City feel scared. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits suddenly appeared here and mixed with the people from the city guardhouse. How can this not make people uneasy? Even Lu Yi frowned slightly, and a hint of worry flashed in her eyes. The Black Wind Bandits actually teamed up with the people from the city guardhouse. Moreover, the leader of the Black Wind Bandits brought people from the city defense office to the city lord's mansion to ask for people. Anyone can see that the other party has ill intentions. However, Qin Yi has not been seen in recent days. What should we do? How dare you, the Black Wind Bandit leader, show up in Yuanjiang City so brazenly? Aren't you afraid of being killed on the spot? Do you really think the city guard will go along with you? Lu Yi was anxious in her heart, but on the surface she remained calm as water and shouted, "Ha ha ha! There's no need for Miss Lu to worry about this. We, the Black Wind Bandits, have turned over a new leaf. Under the advice of Lord Lu Chengsho, I led about 100 Black Wind Bandits to surrender to Lord Lu Chengsho. From now on, the Black Wind Bandits will no longer exist. All that remains is Lord Lu Chengsho's Black Wind Army." The leader of the Black Wind Bandits laughed and shook his head. Wow! As expected of Lord Lu, the city guard, he actually persuaded the Black Wind Bandits to surrender. City Guard Lu is indeed formidable. Much more formidable than that useless 9th prince from the capital. The 9th prince has been in office for so long, but the bandit problem in Yuanjiang City has not decreased. Sir Lu, the city's chief, struck directly at the vital point of the bandit threat. Yes, that 9th prince is nothing but a playboy. No wonder he can't win the favor of the king. If you ask me, this 9th prince is not worthy of being the lord of Yuanjiang City. The words of the Black Wind Bandits leader surprised everyone. The Black Wind Bandits, who had been entrenched around Yuanjiang City for more than 10 years, were actually recruited. In an instant, Lu Chengsho's prestige in everyone's hearts was greatly boosted. In addition, with the guidance of some people, Qin Yi was brought out for comparison. For a while, everyone had quite a few complaints about Qin Yi. Not good, Lu Yi said in her heart. Lu Yi is smart and sees through the Black Wind Bandits leader's tactics at a glance. Take advantage of the situation to put pressure on others. Use the power of the crowd to suppress the reputation of the city lord's mansion and Qin Yi's reputation. Moreover, once the opponent makes a move, killing moves will inevitably follow. As expected, the Black Wind Bandits leader stepped forward and said, "I came here for only one purpose. I am following the orders of Lu Chengsho to take away the 9th Prince Qin Yi." Chapter 33: What to do about public pressure. Take the 9th prince away? As soon as the words fell, there was an uproar all around. The people around were talking about it, but they never thought that city guard Lu would dare to order the 9th prince to be taken away. No matter what, Qin Yi is the lord of Yuanjiang City, and even more so the 9th prince of the Undying Dynasty. The son of a king is high and mighty, and this is no joke. According to the laws of the Undying Dynasty, even if Qin Yi could not ascend to the throne of the king, he would still become a lord with real power. Just like now, Qin Yi became the lord of Yuanjiang City. Unless Qin Yi did something out of line, Lu Chengsho would have no reason to take the 9th prince away. And now, the leader of the Black Wind Bandits openly said that Lu Chengsho had ordered to take the 9th prince away. This made the people around hesitate. How dare you? Can you arrest my husband just like that? Lu Yi's eyebrows suddenly raised and she shouted. This order was personally issued by the king of Buluo, because the 9th prince's mismanagement of his territory has led to widespread banditry. I hereby order the 9th prince to be banished to the border of the dynasty to serve 3 years of military service. The Black Wind Bandits leader said with a sneer. I advise Miss Lu to let the 9th prince come out and follow me to the border of the dynasty. The Black Wind Bandit warned Lu Yi coldly. The people around were stunned. They had not expected that King Buluo would personally order the ninth prince to be demoted to the border. Soon, under the instigation of some people with ulterior motives, public opinion once again shifted in a direction unfavorable to Qin Yi. Long live the king of no fall. We don't need a city lord who does nothing. Yes, I support taking the ninth prince away. It should have been done long ago. Take the ninth prince away. For a time, the ninth prince Qin Yi seemed to have become an unforgivable villain and the source of all chaos. It was as if Yuanjiang City would never have peace if the ninth prince was not taken away. Miss Lu, do you intend to disobey my order? The leader of the Black Wind Bandits looked at Lu Yi sinisterly and said with confidence. Lu Yi fell silent for a moment. She had not expected that this order came from King Buluo himself. Now, Qin Yi was not in the mansion again, and she was suddenly at a loss. Or perhaps the ninth prince has already received the news and escaped in advance. Suddenly, the leader of the Black Wind Bandits raised his voice. At this moment, the servants behind Lu Yi changed their expressions first. Qin Yi has not appeared in the past few days. Is it true that he has already run away, as the leader of the Black Wind Bandits said? Humph. Let's not talk about whether my husband is at home. You said you wanted to take my husband away, and it was the king who gave the order himself. Could you please tell me your imperial decree? Lu Yi snorted and said arrogantly, whether she likes it or not, this is her home, and she won't allow these people to run wild here. Ha ha ha. Is this what you're talking about, Miss Lu? The leader of the Black Wind Bandits laughed loudly and took out a jade-yellow imperial edict from his arms. The huge word, Bu Luo, indicates that this is the highest imperial order from the Bu Luo royal family. An imperial edict appeared, and the faces of Lu Yi and others changed instantly, becoming extremely pale. Miss Lu, do you have any questions? In front of the city lord's mansion, the leader of the Black Wind Bandits is pressing forward step by step. Lu Yi remained silent. No matter how smart she was, she had no way to deal with the situation. First, the imperial edict in the hands of the leader of the Black Wind Bandits is indeed the highest imperial edict of the dynasty. Lu Yi would not be wrong about this. She had seen it many times in her grandfather's study. Secondly, she knew better than anyone whether Qin Yi was in the mansion. Lu Yi gritted her teeth. Could it be that Qin Yi really abandoned them? No, no, no. Lu Yi quickly overturned this statement in her heart. For some reason, Lu Yi had confidence in Qin Yi and believed that he would not do such a despicable thing. Lu Yi didn't know where her confidence came from, but she firmly believed that Qin Yi did not escape. However, the current situation is not optimistic. Chapter 34. What to do if the enchanting concubine is bullied. Miss Lu, do you have anything else to say? In front of the city lord's mansion, the leader of the Black Wind Bandits sneered again. Then, Miss Lu, please be kind enough to let me in and search. Whether the ninth prince is here or not, we will know for ourselves. The Black Wind Bandits' leader sneered and said with ill intention. Lu Yi did not answer, but stood there stubbornly without moving a step. Miss Lu, this is really putting me in a difficult position. The Black Wind Bandits' leader frowned and shook his head. I'll ask you again, Miss Lu, will you give in or not? If not, don't blame me for being violent. The Black Wind Bandits' leader looked serious and shouted coldly. You dare? Lu Yi gritted her teeth and said coldly, if you dare to take even a single step into the city lord's mansion today, I will kill you. Since I'm Qin Yi's concubine, I must fulfill my duties as a concubine. If today, the leader of the Black Wind Bandits were allowed to lead his men into the city lord's mansion, not only would the city lord's mansion lose face, but the news of Qin Yi's absence would also be exposed. By then, it won't be possible to explain it clearly in just a few words. Not only will Qin Yi be in trouble, but the entire city lord's mansion will also be in trouble. So, Lu Yi cannot retreat. Ha ha ha. It seems the young lady hasn't figured out the situation yet. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits laughed wildly, and the aura of a second-level innate warrior suddenly burst out, surging and rushing straight towards Lu Yi and others. Lu Yi and the others turned pale, and the servants behind them felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. The innate warrior is already a top master in the small city of Yuanjiang City. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits is a second-level innate warrior. How could a group of servants be able to resist him? That's not all. It seems that Miss Lu Yi is going to disobey the imperial order. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits took a step forward and spoke loudly. Tell me, what should we do if someone dares to disobey the king's will? Immediately, the leader of the Black Wind Bandits turned around and spoke to the soldiers of the city defense office behind him. Kill him on the spot to uphold the king's majesty. The city guard seemed to be well prepared. As soon as the Black Wind Bandits' leader finished speaking, he took a step forward and shouted. The voice is deafening and the words are extremely sharp. At the same time, a surge of iron-blooded military might burst out like a raging wave. This is an army that has actually fought in the battlefield and is the most elite force in Yuanjiang City. Lu Chengshou's private army, the Armored Army. Faced with the might of the Armored Army, the servants of the city lord's mansion opposite were silent. Only Lu Yi still stood stubbornly. Everyone, tell me what should be done if someone dares to disobey the king's order. The Black Wind Bandits' leader's eyes flashed, and he looked around at the people watching and spoke loudly again. Kill him on the spot to uphold the king's majesty. Kill him on the spot to uphold the king's majesty. Kill him on the spot to uphold the king's majesty. The people around looked at each other in confusion at first, and then, led by someone unknown, they shouted in unison. At this time, the entire situation completely tilted towards the Black Wind Bandits leader and the city guard's office. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits stepped forward and looked coldly at Lu Yi and the others. Boom! 3 forces are coming with great momentum. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits brought his great power and pressed towards Lu Yi and the others. In front of the city lord's mansion, the cold wind makes people feel like they are falling into the abyss. Now, Lu Yi couldn't hold on any longer and her face turned pale. Faced with the general trend, she is powerless to reverse the situation. In the face of the violent momentum, Lu Yi and other people from the city lord's mansion were like a small boat in a storm. It could capsize at any time. At this time, everyone knew that Lu Yi and others were at an absolute disadvantage. The strength and momentum are all on the side of the Black Wind Bandits' leader. I wonder who dares to bully my woman. At this moment, a clear voice, like a divine arrival, came from the sky. Chapter 35. What else can I do? Everyone looked back. He was wearing a white robe. His clothes were whiter than snow. He was outstanding and had an extraordinary bearing. The king appears with his own demeanor. Everyone looked up, and the rising sun formed a straight line with the people coming. The halo behind the person was shining brightly, just like the immortal Ling Chun. Qin Yi walked towards him from afar with the gait of a dragon and a tiger, followed by Zai, who told him to keep away from strangers. A path automatically opened up in the crowd, allowing Qin Yi and the other person to pass through. Qin Yi came to Lu Yi, looked at her, and smiled slightly. I'm back. A few simple words, containing strong self-confidence, dispelled the haze in Lu Yi's heart. Lu Yi smiled, and her sweet smile also made people feel comfortable. As soon as Qin Yi appeared, the city lord's mansion instantly had a backbone, and their spirit and energy were different. Qin Yi has been in Yuanjiang City for several months, and perhaps other things have not been accomplished yet. However, the people in the city lord's mansion were actually firmly in his hands. The reason why these servants panicked before. The main reason is that Qin Yi is not here and they have no backbone. Now that Qin Yi has returned, his demeanor is naturally very different. Since the 9th prince has appeared, well then, Prince 9, please come with me. I am sending the 9th prince off to the border. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits stepped forward and gave a pretentious salute. Qin Yi's appearance made the Black Wind Bandits leader look a little ugly, but he soon calmed down. Qin Yi's appearance prevented him from taking the opportunity to rob the city lord's mansion. But as long as he catches Qin Yi, his goal will be achieved. Please ask the 9th prince to go to the border. As soon as the words fell, The people from the city defense office also shouted loudly. The voice was like a loud bell. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits wanted to take advantage of the situation and crush Qin Yi. Heh! Since when did a bandit become the boss of the city lord's mansion? Has the city guardhouse fallen to this point? Facing the turbulent momentum, Qin Yi was not afraid. How could this momentum be compared with the legion that belonged to him and that he saw in his dream? It's nothing compared to this. Ninth Prince, please don't try to gain the upper hand with your words. I have already surrendered to Yuanjiang City under the persuasion of Lu Qingshou. Now, I am the commander-in-chief of the Black Wind Army of Yuanjiang City, the Black Wind Bandits leader said with a sneer. Interesting. What a carefully designed persuasion. Qin Yi sneered when he heard it. Ninth Prince, what do you mean by this? The Black Wind Bandits leader was startled and asked with a frown. What do you mean? Do you want me to make it clear? You colluded with Lu Qingshou and staged a good show just to drive me to the border of the dynasty. Qin Yi said disdainfully. Ninth Prince, please speak with facts and facts. Don't slander me. A trace of panic flashed across the face of the Black Wind Bandits leader, but he quickly calmed down. Real evidence? I have it all. As he spoke, Qin Yi gently shook his right hand, and a large stack of envelopes appeared in his hand. How? The Black Wind Bandits leader's pupils shrank and he cried out in surprise. But then he thought of something and closed his mouth again. You mean it was placed safely in the Black Wind Village? So how could it appear in my hands, right? Qin Yi smiled faintly and teased. It's very simple. The Black Wind Bandits have been annihilated by me. You are the only one left among the bandits plaguing Yuanjiang City. Suddenly, Qin Yi's expression turned cold and he shouted. Chapter 36, How to Play a Fancy Beat. The Black Wind Bandits have been eliminated. Qin Yi shouted loudly, and the news he threw out was like a pebble falling into the lake, but it set off huge waves. The Black Wind Bandits were actually crushed by the Ninth Prince. It turns out that the Ninth Prince is not inactive. If you don't make a move, it's fine. But if you do, it will be a stunning success. The people around looked excited. After all, the Black Wind Bandits were a group of bandits that brought disaster to the area and massacred many people in the villages around Yuanjiang City. This made many people in Yuanjiang City have a bad impression of the Black Wind Bandits. What's worse, some of his relatives or friends died at the hands of the Black Wind Bandits. Recruiting the Black Wind Bandits will not quell their anger at all. But now, Qin Yi said that he had wiped out the Black Wind Bandits. How can this not excite the people? Nonsense! The leader of the Black Wind Bandits roared angrily, suppressing the discussions of the people around him. In the Black Wind Village, there are 300 of my brothers, and the second one is a congenital warrior. Ninth Prince, with your strength, you are simply unable to destroy the Black Wind Village. Ninth Prince, at this point, why are you still joking? The Black Wind Bandits leader said coldly with a gloomy face. The words of the Black Wind Bandits leader immediately silenced the people around him. There is actually a congenital warrior guarding the Black Wind Village. Doesn't that mean the Ninth Prince is joking? Xiantian warriors are the top-level warriors in Yuanjiang City, and there are very few of them. The only person who can rival an innate warrior is an innate warrior. Qin Yi was just a down-and-out Ninth Prince, with no one under his command. How could he possibly destroy the Black Wind Village? Are you kidding? Qin Yi shook his head lightly. I don't have time to joke with you. There's no time for jokes now that the Ninth Prince has spoken to this point. Then please, Ninth Prince, come with me. I don't have time for the Ninth Prince. Are you kidding me? The Black Wind Bandits leader said anxiously, and if you looked closely, there was a hint of uneasiness in his eyes. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits is not as calm as he appears to be. He knew clearly whether the letter in Qin Yi's hand was true or false. And these letters now appear in Qin Yi's hands. It only means one thing: what Qin Yi said is true. The Black Wind Village has been destroyed by him. However, this made the Black Wind Bandits leader unbelievable. But, even if there is only a slight possibility, he cannot take it lightly. Qin Yi might be holding a trump card that can kill an innate warrior. However, he is in the upper hand now, and he doesn't believe that Qin dares to resist. The royal edict in his hand is not a fake. Noisy. Qin narrowed his eyes slightly, and the deepness in his eyes made the Black Wind Bandits' leader feel creepy. Destroy him, Byakuya. The next moment, Qin spoke up. He had lost interest in arguing with the leader of the Black Wind Bandits. What he has to do is to restore the whole thing, make it public, and clear the name of himself and the city lord's mansion. He would not hesitate to strike down anyone who stood in his way. Only blood can make people fear and submit. Zhang! With a sound of sword sound, the sword was unsheathed. The knife shadow was like light, drawing a dazzling ray of light. After the light, blood burst out. When everyone came to their senses, the leader of the Black Wind Bandits had already collapsed to the ground, screaming miserably. Looking closely, one can see that the Black Wind Bandits' leader's tendons in his hands and feet have been severed. Even the dantian of the Black Wind Bandits' leader had been blown up. Chapter 37. The Domineering Young Man. Ah! In the blink of an eye, the leader of the Black Wind Bandits was crippled. Everyone seemed stunned, their faces filled with disbelief. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits is a congenital warrior. How could he be seriously injured like this in an instant? You should know that being an innate warrior is the first step for a warrior to break away from the mortal body. A warrior who has broken through the innate realm already possesses strength beyond that of ordinary people, and can come and go freely among thousands of troops. Such a warrior, who was considered to be high and mighty in Yuanjiang City, was now seriously injured by a knife in front of everyone. Only some warriors with excellent eyesight who were watching could see some clues. This is the black-robed warrior behind the 9th prince taking action. These warriors looked at Byakuya in horror and shock. The layman watches the excitement, while the expert watches the details. This is different from what ordinary people think. Most people can only understand that Byakuya is very strong. But the expressions of those with keen eyesight were more solemn. It is precisely because of their keen eyesight that they understand the horror of Byakuya even more clearly. A single strike crippled a second-level innate warrior. Such a terrifying figure could actually be the 9th prince's subordinate. A warrior who is at least at the 4th level of the innate realm, at the disposal of the 9th prince. It doesn't mean that the 9th prince has no power or influence and no background at all. So where did this powerful warrior come from? Everyone looked puzzled, and as they looked at the indifferent Qin, they felt that he was even more unfathomable. At the city lord's mansion, Louis and a group of servants were also stunned. It was not like they had never seen Bai Zai before. However, they never expected that this cold-blooded man who had been following Qin was so strong. Especially Louis. She looked at Qin with a puzzled expression. She couldn't understand Qin anymore. It was as if Qin was shrouded in a layer of mystery, making him unpredictable. Louis still remembered that when Qin first arrived in Yuanjiang City, he was alone. Bai Zai also mysteriously appeared shortly after Qin arrived in Yuanjiang City. At that time, Louis didn't care, thinking that Qin had just recruited an ordinary martial artist. Now it seems that her thoughts at that time were a bit ridiculous. A 4th-level innate warrior, who could even be said to be the best warrior in Yuanjiang City, was actually treated by her as an ordinary martial artist. Even in the Liu family, he had only met a few people like him. Precisely because she understood Bai Zai's importance, Louis felt that Qin was extremely mysterious. A 4th-level innate warrior actually obeyed Qin orders. Perhaps he could become the heroic hero in her mind. Louis looked at Qin with a complicated expression, her mind full of random thoughts. The city guard sighed. The Black Wind Bandits' leader fell to the ground with one blow, causing many soldiers in the city defense office to be terrified and fall into panic. Many soldiers were quite dissatisfied with the fact that the leader of the Black Wind Bandits became the commander-in-chief of an army under Liu Chengshou. But no matter who it is, no one has any doubt about the strength of the Black Wind Bandits' leader. Now, the leader of the Black Wind Bandits had his limbs chopped off and his dantian shattered, and he was howling on the ground. This scene undoubtedly challenged the psychological endurance of the soldiers in the city defense office. These soldiers, who did not turn around and flee, are considered elite. Ninth Prince, what do you mean? It was the sergeant in this team of soldiers who gritted his teeth and stood up. I'm just helping Lu Chengshou get rid of an eyesore that he wants to get rid of but can't. Qin smiled, but the smile on the corner of his mouth made people feel cold all over. Chapter 38. You don't understand what fear is. Bang! Qin took a step forward and stepped on the head of the Black Wind Bandits' leader. Now, can I ask you a few questions? Although he said so, there was no questioning in Qin Yi's tone, but rather a hint of unquestionableness. Don't even think about it. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits was struggling at Qin Yi's feet. The Black Wind Bandits' chief's eyes were about to spit fire, and humiliation suddenly filled his entire chest. His decades of hard training were wasted in one day. Now, he is being trampled under the feet of the Ninth Prince, who is famous for his dissoluteness. This humiliation made the Black Wind Bandits' leader so depressed that he almost vomited blood. I have no patience. You'd better tell me the truth. Qin ignored the anger of the Black Wind Bandits' leader and continued speaking in a cold voice. Impossible! The leader of the Black Wind Bandits kept shouting unyieldingly. It was impossible to make him surrender. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits sneered repeatedly. He wanted to see what means a dissolute Ninth Prince could use to force him to submit. Do you think I don't have the means to force you to submit? Qin Yi's eyes were deep, as if he could see through people's hearts. My methods are beyond your imagination. For example, did you know there was a form of punishment called flaying? Qin Yi suddenly smiled and said slowly, this punishment is very simple. It involves peeling off a person's skin in its entirety until they bleed to death. Qin Yi smiled and explained this criminal law. The light words are like the boy next door talking to you, but the deep meaning in the words makes people feel cold. Listening to Qin Yi's story, the leader of the Black Wind Bandits widened his eyes in horror and looked at Qin Yi in panic. He had never expected that Qin Yi's methods were so cruel. This is not a weak and dandy young man, but an evil ghost in human skin. Generally speaking, after being skinned, a person doesn't die immediately. It takes at least 3 days for them to bleed to death. If I add a little more topping, like a few ants, then it would be a real treat. Qin Yi's slow words were like a cold wind blowing through the heart of the Black Wind Bandits' leader. Your Highness the Ninth Prince, I'll tell you everything. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits was suddenly startled and shouted quickly. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits looked terrified. He didn't want to try the punishment that Qin Yi mentioned. If this punishment were imposed on him, it would be a life worse than death. How dare you? The sergeant of the city defense house was startled and shouted loudly, trying to stop the leader of the Black Wind Bandits. Noisy! Qin Yi raised his eyelids slightly and looked directly at the sergeant. What followed was a gorgeous sword light. With a puff, a big head was thrown high into the air. Sergeant, die! The crowd watching couldn't help but shudder and looked at Qin Yi in disbelief. The Ninth Prince is too cruel to kill without any hesitation. Lu Yi also widened her eyes. The feeling Qin Yi gave her at this moment was that of a supreme king who was decisive and ruthless in killing. One word can decide the life or death of others. Treat life as worthless. However, Lu Yi felt an inexplicable excitement in her heart. This is the hero she imagined, the unparalleled husband of her dreams. Lu Yi couldn't help but look at Qin Yi's eyes and became obsessed. Soon, Lu Yi came back to her senses. A blush appeared on her face, and she secretly cursed in her heart. After the shock comes worry. Qin Yi killed Lu Chengshou's men in public. Lu Chengshou would definitely not let it go. What should I do? Lu Yi's heart sank. Chapter 39. Treat others in their own way. Qin Yi beheaded Lu Chengshou's subordinates in public, which was undoubtedly a slap in Lu Chengshou's face. Lu Chengshou will definitely not give up and will definitely take action against Qin Yi. Although Baiya is powerful, Lu Chengshou is no pushover either. 2 fists cannot beat 4 hands. Lu Chengshou still has 3,000 elite soldiers under his command, who are brave and good at fighting, and all of them are soldiers who have been on the battlefield. The innate strong are very strong and have taken the first step to transcend the mortal body, but they have not surpassed the mortal body after all. Faced with 3,000 elite soldiers, the innate warrior could only die on the spot. If Qin Yi faces Lu Chengshou, it is likely that Qin Yi will suffer the loss. What's more, Lu Chengshou still has the imperial edict in his hand, and the situation is even more unfavorable to Qin Yi. If it really doesn't work, ask Grandpa to help. Lu Yi made up her mind. With her grandfather's prestige, he should be able to eliminate the impact of this incident. Now I ask you questions. Just as Lu Yi was daydreaming, Qin Yi lowered his head and looked at the leader of the Black Wind Bandits. Your Highness the Ninth Prince, please ask. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits responded quickly, frightened by Qin Yi's decisiveness. Then let me ask you, why did the Black Wind Bandits attack the villages around Yuanjiang City? Qin Yi said, we Black Wind Bandits are bandits. Raiding villages is only natural, isn't it? The leader of the Black Wind Bandits hesitated for a moment, rolled his eyes and said so. Qin Yi raised his eyebrows, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Then how do you explain the letter in my hand? Qin Yi raised the stack of letters in his hand and looked at the leader of the Black Wind Bandits coldly. This, the leader of the Black Wind Bandits, was speechless for a moment. Laugh. A flash of sword light passed by, and the right arm of the Black Wind Bandit leader was smoothly cut off. Everyone looked at Qin Yi, who had a calm expression on his face, holding a sword, and his indifferent eyes were cold and chilling. The sword just now came from Qin Yi's hand. Are you going to tell me or not? Qin Yi's tone became increasingly impatient. The longer the time dragged on, the more unfavorable the situation became for him. It is estimated that Lu Chengshou has received the news now and dares to come here. Qin Yi must turn the situation around before Lu Chengshou arrives. Thinking of this, Qin Yi looked at the leader of the Black Wind Bandits with even colder eyes. I'll tell you everything. The Black Wind Bandits' leader shuddered when he met Qin Yi's eyes. This look was like a beast waiting to hunt, which could devour him completely in an instant, leaving not even a bone. The feeling of these words became clearer and clearer, and the leader of the Black Wind Bandits knew that if he didn't say it, Qin Yi would definitely kill him. We were ordered by City Guard Lu to massacre the villages surrounding Yuanjiang City in order to pin the blame on the Ninth Prince. The Black Wind Bandits' leader spoke in panic, revealing everything. Boom! As soon as the words fell, everyone gasped. What we saw today was full of twists and turns, and the situation was unpredictable. But this time, everyone was truly shocked. They didn't expect that the City Guard Lu would actually order the Black Wind Bandits to massacre the people around Yuanjiang City. This really made the onlookers furious. The anger of being deceived and the anger of the death of their loved ones erupted together, causing their impression of Lu Chengshou to collapse in an instant. As a city defender, instead of seeking the welfare of the people under your command, you wantonly slaughter them. What a shameless defender of the city! Qin Yi sneered and continued. The fire wasn't burning bright enough, so he added more fuel to the fire. Don't you want to ruin my reputation? Then I will ruin your reputation first. Completely destroyed. Chapter 40. His crime is punishable. I think Lu Chengshou has done more than just this one bad thing. Qin Yi looked at the Black Wind Bandits' leader with a smile, which made him feel creepy. Yes, Lu Chengshou has ordered the Black Wind Bandits to do many things over the years. Some of the things that were inconvenient for him to do were all solved by the Black Wind Bandits. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits immediately understood and spoke quickly. Qin Yi's meaning was very clear, which was to throw dirty water on Lu Chengshou. Now, the leader of the Black Wind Bandits was under Qin Yi's feet. If he wanted to survive, he could only say what Qin Yi wanted. Although his cultivation had been destroyed, the leader of the Black Wind Bandits did not want to die yet. The leader of the Black Wind Bandits could only place his hopes on Qin Yi. If he followed Qin Yi's ideas, he might not be able to survive. Half a year ago, there was a missing persons incident that affected the entire Yuanjiang city. It was Lu Chengshou who ordered us to do this, in order to present these beauties as tribute to the dignitaries. With a grit of his teeth, the leader of the Black Wind Bandits revealed all the crimes he knew about Lu Chengshou. Buzz! Everyone was in an uproar. looking at the leader of the Black Wind Bandits in surprise. Half a year ago, a major event happened in Yuanjiang City. That is, countless young girls who were waiting to be married and who were slightly pretty and lived in and around Yuanjiang City mysteriously disappeared one after another. Not just one or two, but dozens or even hundreds of unmarried women disappeared. This incident caused a huge sensation in Yuanjiang City at that time. At that time, everyone was in danger, especially those families with a daughter who was about to get married, who were extremely nervous. It was not until Lu Chengshou mobilized a large number of troops and arrested the so-called culprit overnight that he caught him. A flower thief. Then, he was beheaded during lunch break, and the matter gradually subsided. But the leader of the Black Wind Bandits said that it was Lu Chengshou who ordered the Black Wind Bandits to do this. Qin Yi had also heard of this matter, but he did not expect that this would be the method used by Lu Chengshou. Judging from the confident look on the face of the Black Wind Bandits leader, it was obvious that he was not shooting without purpose. This matter was not mentioned in the correspondence between the Black Wind Bandit leader and Lu Chengshou. Qin Yi's mouth curled up into a sinister smile. It seemed that he didn't need to add fuel to the fire. With just one word from the Black Wind Bandits leader, Lu Chengshou was pushed into the endless abyss. What Lu Chengshou did was no different from human trafficking, and the fact that he was offering the herbs to high-ranking officials was another crime. Human trafficking and bribing high-ranking officials. According to the laws of the Undying Dynasty, it was enough to remove Lu Chengshou from his post and kill him on the spot. These are not trivial matters, but shocking crimes. Oh, this is really a good city defender of Yuanjiang City. Qin Yi's gaze suddenly became fierce, and his aura sank. The entire street in front of the city lord's mansion seemed to be a little gloomy. Human trafficking is a crime. Bribing high-ranking officials is the second crime. Having secret dealings with the Black Wind Bandits and causing cholera in Yuanjiang City are the third crimes. Framing His Royal Highness the Ninth Prince and harming the royal family is the fourth crime. Lu Chengshou is not worthy of being the defender of Yuanjiang City. At this moment, a delicate cry was heard. Each cry was as sonorous as that of a heroine. Qin Yi turned his head and saw that it was Lu Yi who was shouting. He couldn't help but smile. City Guard Lu is not worthy of being the city guardian of Yuanjiang City. The servants behind Lu Yi also shouted loudly along with their master. Just now, they were holding their breath, and now they can finally vent it. In an instant, the situation in front of the city lord's mansion has completely reversed. The entire situation is extremely unfavorable for the city defense office, and it can even be said to be full of dangers. Chapter 41: The Angry People and the Undeniable Youth. City Guard Lu is not worthy of being the city guardian of Yuanjiang City. City Guard Lu, the dog official, is unfit to be the city guard of Yuanjiang City. My poor Ruhua was actually sold to a high-ranking official by this city guard. I was wondering how a flower-stealing thief could commit such a heinous crime. Turns out it was all staged and directed by Lu Chengshou himself. My poor daughter. I don't know where she is suffering. There was no need for the servants of the city lord's mansion to provide any further guidance. Public opinion had completely changed. The people of Yuanjiang City were already shouting loudly, like crazy, especially those elderly parents who lost their daughters. Some even fainted from crying. The crowd is excited. Many men in Yuanjiang City have already clenched the tools in their hands, with veins bulging on their faces, which is shocking. Don't believe this. It's slander. The soldiers from the city defense office were also shouting loudly, trying to restore public opinion. However, these people are not blind. They can judge right from wrong. They will have their own conclusion as to whether the words of the Black Wind Bandits leader are true or false. More importantly, the people had already had doubts about the major case half a year ago. Now that Qin Yi has helped them solve the problem, they naturally won't believe the nonsense told by these city garrison soldiers. These words, instead, aroused strong murderous intent and hatred in their hearts. You bastard city guard. I can't stand it anymore. I'm going to tear down the city guard's mansion. My Linger, who just turned 13, was sold out by him. Let's go together. Let's go together. Damn it. This bastard official won't let us live, so I won't let him live either. For the sake of my dead family, I will not let this city guard go. A good village is gone because of this bastard official. Ha 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 ha. More and more people gathered on the street, and many men from Yuanjiang City dared to come after hearing the news. As soon as he learned the whole story, he was furious. Kill! 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 The men of Yuanjiang City are never lacking in bloodiness, and the boundless hatred in their roars is the best proof of this. Everyone's eyes were filled with blood, and this murderous intent was directed at Lu Qingshou. But don't underestimate these men in Yuanjiang City. As long as they follow the martial tradition of the dynasty, these men living in Yuanjiang City also know some martial art skills. Although not strong, it is not weak either. Among them, there are many experts in the acquired realm, and there are even some acquired 9th-level warriors. If these people attacked the city defense house, they might even succeed without the intervention of innate warriors. But Lu Qingshou is a congenital warrior, and these men will never come back. Everyone, please be quiet. Qin Yi naturally wouldn't let them go to their deaths, so he shouted loudly, and with the help of his internal strength, his voice instantly drowned out the voices of everyone else. Everyone fell silent and looked at Qin Yi. Qin Yi's previous actions won their hearts. It was because of Qin Yi that they were able to break through Lu Qingshou's deception and learn the truth. Even if you succeed, you'll still die in the end. Is it worth it? Qin Yi asked with a serious expression. It's worth it, of course it's worth it. If this kind of bastard official can't kill this man, then he's letting him off easy. Why fear death? Kill the dog official. Return peace and order to Yuanjiang City. The men of Yuanjiang City shouted and roared. Good. You all are so thoughtful. I admire you all. However, I will not let you down this time. As the 9th prince of the Buluo dynasty, how can I tolerate this person to continue to do whatever he wants? Today, I will destroy the city guard's mansion, kill city guard Lu, and bring justice to everyone. Qin Yi's tone was sincere, infecting everyone present. This king is incompetent, but I swear to kill the dog officials and bring about the dawn of Yuanjiang City.